Chapter 298. Below the martial lord realm, Du Xiaofu's current strength was unstoppable. His strong defensive power made him unafraid of any attacks from the pulse spirit realm. His domineering aura crushed everything, his cold killing intent destroying the sky. Kill! Many people surrounded and attacked the king-scaled demonic tiger. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and charged forward. His profound qi surged, his aura crushing everything, instantly killing several people. Die! Many people surrounded and attacked Ouyang Shuang, even activating their pulse spirits. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and appeared. Wherever his wings flapped, the pulse spirits were destroyed and several people fell from the sky. Join hands, and kill that purple-robed youth first. The leader of the masked men shouted. Seeing the group of pulse spirit realm cultivators unable to withstand a single blow, his venomous, snake-like eyes changed greatly. Kill! The remaining masked men immediately mustered their courage. Most of them charged towards Du Xiaofu, greatly reducing the pressure on the Iron Tiger, the king-scaled demonic tiger, and Ouyang Shuang. Many people activated their pulse spirits. In an instant, a large number of pulse spirits pounced towards Du Xiaofu at the same time. Ao! Roar, roar! Roars shook the heavens. Beast shadows roared in the air. The runes were dazzling like the blooming sun. A terrifying aura shook the air. The visual impact far exceeded the collision between the martial lords. Sky-shaking wings. Du Xiaofu's hands flapped at the same time. Waves of golden talisman runes surged, like a rock flapping its wings. A domineering aura erupted, like a volcano, crushing and destroying everything. Puchi Puchi. In an instant, a large number of pulse spirits were destroyed, unable to resist. One by one, the masked men spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Bang, bang, bang. Du Xiaofu's domineering aura crushed everything. His figure flapped his wings and charged forward. Everywhere he passed, figures were blasted to the ground like birds with broken wings. He did not hold back at all. As long as the runic wings on Du Xiaofu's back came into contact with them, their vitality would be destroyed and their bodies would explode. So that young man is the scariest. That purple-robed young man is so strong. What a terrifying killing intent. Many people were watching from afar. They were dumbfounded as they watched the purple-robed young man destroy everything in his path. The purple-robed youth, wrapped in golden light, was the most terrifying one. He was the greatest fiend. Just the number of people he had killed was already in the dozens. Bang! The leading black-robed elder once again forced Netherworld Princess Wu Kei back. Without any delay, profound energy surged out from his entire body. The runes glowed with a dazzling light, and his powerful aura caused the surrounding space to ripple. His figure took the opportunity to pounce towards Du Xiaofu like a ghost. With such an imposing manner, his cultivation strength had actually reached the peak of the martial marquis realm's mysterious level. He was probably not far from the martial marquis realm's nirvana realm. Die, brat! A gloomy and furious shout resounded. The black-clothed old man's astonishing energy rune palm print pressed down on Du Xiaofu. The sonic boom resounded through the sky, as if it wanted to shatter the space. Sky-shaking wings. Du Xiaofu did not dodge, but his gaze was solemn. The leading black-clothed old man's aura was different. With a wave of his hand, the sky-shaking wings once again charged towards him. Whoosh! The two forces of energy violently collided, and a wave of energy rippled from the point of contact. It was like a huge wave exploding in the air. Dang dang! Du Xiaofu's figure was pushed back, and his internal organs were in turmoil. The martial marquis realm's mysterious level was too powerful. Even the peak of the pulse spiritual level was not comparable. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. Du Xiaofu could kill someone from the pulse spiritual level as if they were nothing, but he was still far from being able to deal with someone from the martial Marquis realm's mysterious level. Netherworld kill. Wu Kei's delicate body was pushed back, but she immediately caught up. At this time, her graceful body was wrapped in dazzling runes, and the netherworld chi was emitted. In an instant, an even more astonishing aura erupted. A large amount of rune energy pressed down on the leading black-clothed old man. The aura was astonishing, and a dazzling light bloomed in the dark night. The leading black-clothed old man frowned, and his expression was ugly. He could no longer suppress Du Xiaofu and could only contend with the netherworld princess. Whoosh! However, as Du Xiaofu was pushed back, the remaining masked men continued to besiege Du Xiaofu. One by one, the saber and sword lights were activated, and the pulse spiritual level was activated. A bloody aura spread out, enveloping Du Xiaofu in an overwhelming manner. Many attacks were hidden in the large wave of attacks, appearing tricky and vicious, secretly targeting Du Xiaofu's vital points. Peng descends to the 9 heavens kill. The wings on his back flapped violently, and a golden light bloomed in the sky. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings, and it was as if a real golden-winged roc had descended, carrying the domineering will of the golden-winged roc clan. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was like a supreme being, and his aura swept across the sky. He flapped his wings and swept across the sky, crushing everything in his way. Rumble! The sky was like thunder, and a series of rune lights burst out. The rune energy shot out, and it was as gorgeous as fireworks, causing the entire sky to be dazzling. Behind this dazzling light, there was an astonishing pressure. It was as if it was destroying everything, and a large amount of pulse spiritual level was shattered. All the attacks were destroyed, and the surrounding sky was trembling. Whoosh! No less than 20 mysterious, masked men were directly killed. Their bodies were bombarded and fell to the ground. At this time, there were not many people left in the air. Cuckoo! Such a domineering attack made the onlookers in the dark night gasp, and their hair stood on end. Pucci Tai, who was besieged, his strength was relatively weak, and blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. He had already activated his pulse spirit. The giant tiger roared, but it was still suppressed by several pulse spirit demonic beast phantoms. Chilala! Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and appeared. Golden talisman patterns spread across the sky and destroyed a large number of meridian souls. He punched out, and a deep sonic boom resounded. Another few masked warriors were killed. Woo! Woo! A strange long sword appeared in Princess Netherworld Wu Kei's hand. It had a strange shape and was curved like a spirit snake. Runes flickered on the sword, and it was wrapped in the chi of the Netherworld. When the long sword was swung out, the chi of the Netherworld swept out and seemed to be able to cut through space. Swish, swish! The Sorcerer Sparrow's beautiful figure flickered. Her arc was alluring, but it was also sinister. She was like a poppy, and beneath her beauty was a potent poison. The leading black-clothed elder was suppressing Princess Netherworld Wu Quebec. However, he was only suppressing her. Although he was gaining the upper hand, he was still unable to defeat Princess Netherworld completely. In the other battles, the Demon Slayer's sword, Gua Xiaofeng, Fire Saber, and Bai Mingfeng were fighting with their opponents. It was hard to tell who had the upper hand. The masked warriors must have broken through to the martial lord realm for a long time. Their cultivation and auras were above Gua Xiaofeng, Bai Mingfeng, and Liu Xiao. However, in terms of strength, they were unable to suppress Gua Xiaofeng and the others. The rather mysterious black-robed youth blocked a masked martial Marquis realm cultivator. Unexpectedly, he always had the upper hand and suppressed his opponent. His strength was extremely terrifying. The last masked warrior was being besieged by Luo Tianqin and Pan Yu. In the beginning, the two of them were able to fight against the masked warrior. However, as time passed, they were completely suppressed and could not fight against the masked warrior. There were more and more corpses on the ground, and more people were being killed in the air. No one below the martial lord realm could fight against Du Xiaofu. The leading, black-clothed elder suppressed Princess Netherworld, Wu Quebec. However, after a short period of time, when he looked around again, he realized that there were only 5 people left out of the hundreds of people he had brought with him. Bastard! The leading black-clothed old man cried out in a dark and stern voice. However, he did not seem to care too much about the matter of the 100 over spirit vein stage practitioners being killed. To him, the lives of those 100 over people were not worth mentioning. Instead, he was gloomy and furious because he was unable to do anything to those few young men. Qi, the strange treasured sword in Princess Netherworld's hand, flashed out like a nether snake. Her graceful figure flashed through the air, drawing out the most alluring arcs. Her shoulder shook slightly as her sword pierced towards the leading black-clothed old man. The leading black-clothed old man stomped his foot in the air and rose into the sky, strangely dodging the Netherworld Princess Wu Kei's sword. His figure spun and dived down like a ghost, and a cold aura spread out and pressed down from the sky. Chilala! The black-clothed elder activated a terrifying gale, and a series of sonic booms sounded in the air. Then, the talisman moved, and a sharp claw print pressed down. Princess Netherworld Wu Kei's expression changed slightly when she felt the cold aura coming from the top of her head. The strange sword in her hand shone brightly, and the talisman dazzled. It covered her entire body, and the sword radiance pierced forward. Chilala! However, the runes on Princess Netherworld Wu Kei's sword started to crumble under the pressure of the boundless cold energy. The boundless cold energy pressed down on her body, causing the light shield on her body to tremble violently. Dang dang! A moment later, Wu Kei was finally unable to withstand the bombardment. Along with many subtle sonic booms in the surrounding space, a muffled sound came from her throat, and her delicate face instantly turned much paler. It's not over yet. Suddenly, a figure appeared out of thin air in the sky, silently appearing high up in the sky. With the appearance of this person, a cold aura spread out in the air. It was filled with a sharp and bloody aura. This person was wearing a gray robe with a deep hat on his head. It covered his entire face, and one could not see his appearance clearly. His aura did not fluctuate much, but it made one's heart turn cold. There's another expert. With the appearance of this person, Princess Netherworld Wu Kei, Qianluo Sword Guo Xiaofeng, and Fireblade Bai Mingfeng, who were in the midst of a fierce battle, were all shocked. Boss, this person is more powerful than we thought, the leading black-clothed elder said. His eyes were as cold as a poisonous snake. He looked at the man in the gray robe with respect and joy. It seems that the students of Tianwu Academy are not ordinary. It's a pity that all of you will die today. Chapter 299. Indifferent words came out of the gray-robed man's mouth. His voice was sharp and cold. As his voice fell, a gray shadow flashed and pounced towards Tai Hu, suddenly appearing in front of him. Qi! The gray-robed man waved his hand. Dazzling rune energy spread out, rapidly and violently colliding with Tai, Hu's giant tiger bloodline spirit, destroying it in an instant. It was unstoppable and unstoppable. Puffed. With his bloodline spirit destroyed, Tai Hu spat out a bloody mist. In addition to his original injuries, he was instantly gravely injured. Die. In the sky, the gray-robed man did not give Tai Hu any chance to catch his breath. His figure swept through the air like a vulture that had spotted its prey. He did not take Tai Hu seriously at all. To him, Tai Hu's strength could not even withstand a single blow. A palm print slammed towards Tai Hu. Seeing the gray-robed man pouncing towards him in an instant, the heavily injured Tai Hu gritted his teeth and desperately channeled the last of his profound energy. At this moment, Tai Hu could only fight with his life on the line. A look of despair appeared in his eyes. The aura of his opponent made him feel hopeless. There was nothing he could do. Back off. At this critical moment, a golden light flashed, and Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in front of Tai Hu, with his body as the center. The surrounding air waves rippled continuously, as if there was an endless stream of energy pouring into his body, causing the surrounding space to ripple like boiling water. There were even glowing runes surging within his body as a terrifying aura erupted. Just as the gray-robed man's palm print swept over, Du Xiaofu blocked Du Xiaofu in front of Tai Hu, a palm print in his hand striking out at the same time. The two palm prints suddenly collided, and a muffled sound like muffled thunder immediately rang out. Bang, bang! In an instant, waves of strong wind and energy rippled outwards like stormy waves. Chi-la-la! Du Xiaofu's figure flew backwards, the wings on his back flapping. When he finally stabilized his body, his face was pale, and there was some blood at the corner of his mouth. The figure of the gray-robed man swayed slightly as he raised his head, slightly. One could see a pair of eyes flickering with cold light under his hat. They were staring intently at Du Xiaofu, and there was quite a bit of surprise in his eyes. So strong, I'm afraid you're at least at the martial Lord Nirvana realm. Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly and looked at the gray-robed man in front of him. The opponent was too strong. He was much stronger than the howling sky demon tiger in the battlefield. Pulsation realm, the gray-robed man's eyes, the gray-robed man's body, Du Xiaofu, the gray-robed man's body, the gray-robed spirit's figure. The gray-robed figure stared at Du Xiaofu as a sinister voice rang out. I'm really interested in the body refinement art you cultivate. Hand it over to me, and I'll let you die a little easier today. How about it? When Du Xiaofu heard this, his eyes narrowed. This person actually knew about him. This wasn't a good thing. Du Xiaofu quickly thought about it. He was the last one to leave Tianwu Academy for the Dark City. Even in Tianwu Academy, there weren't many people who knew about him. However, the gray-robed man knew about him. This was enough to prove that these assassins knew about their situation like the back of their hand. If you want my body tempering technique, we'll have to see if you have the ability to do so. Looking at the gray-robed man, Du Xiaofu's gaze turned increasingly grave. The situation seemed to be getting worse. Using his mental energy, he could see that Luo Tianqin and Pan Yu were getting weaker and weaker. The two of them were already injured, and the Netherworld princess, Wu Kei, was being suppressed. Believe me, you will hand it over. When you fall into my hands and suffer a fate worse than death, dying comfortably will be the happiest thing in the world. As soon as he finished speaking, the gray-robed man pounced towards Du Xiaofu. The rune in his hand emitted a dazzling radiance, and a vast aura surged, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Profound qi surged like an ocean and drowned the entire sky, forming a boundless rune light screen. It was resplendent in the night sky like the blooming sun. In the end, it enveloped Du Xiaofu. When Du Xiaofu saw this, his gaze turned grave, following which a lightning-like radiance flickered in his faint golden eyes. Profound qi surged around his body, and mysterious runes seemed to be gushing out from his body. In an instant, his aura was incomparably domineering. Roar! A loud roar came out from Du Xiaofu's mouth. It was like a dragon's roar and a divine elephant's cry. His purple robe fluttered in the wind, and the space rumbled and trembled. His aura was incomparably domineering, and his might was unparalleled. Rumble! Amidst the domineering and surging aura, the mysterious runes around Du Xiaofu's body emitted ripples. The sound of wind and thunder, like the sound of Sanskrit, came from the space. A large number of palm prints collided with the rune light screen that covered the sky. Walala! Such a collision caused a thunder-like explosion to resound through the space. Turbulent energy ripples spread out, and a terrifying energy storm swept out like a hurricane. The light was dazzling and resplendent. Dang, 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 dang. However, under the spread of the energy, the light screen was scattered. However, Du Xiaofu's footsteps staggered. Even if he flapped his wings, he was unable to stop the momentum. He retreated another 100 feet before stabilizing his body. His face became even paler, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Is he really only at the complete pulsation realm? The figure of the gray-robed man swayed a little again. However, at this moment, the eyes that were exposed under the gray robe were incomparably shocked. It was as if he had encountered the most inconceivable thing. How could a youth at the pulsation realm possess such strength? Even the peak of the complete pulsation realm could not be so powerful. I must suppress him with all my strength, the gray-robed man said in his heart. It was no wonder that someone would deliberately mention this youth called Du Xiaofu in front of him. He was indeed terrifying. It would not be long before this youth would be able to rise proudly once he had the chance. He could no longer hold back and had to suppress him with all his strength. Swan and I claw. The cold runes surged as the gray-robed man attacked again. Monstrous, profound qi surged as he no longer held back. It condensed into a rune claw that looked like a material object. In the blink of an eye, it grew to a size of 100 feet and tore towards Du Xiaofu. The claw swept across the space. The cold aura was like a black light that covered the sky and the sun, enveloping the air. Crash! Under that cold aura, violent ripples rippled and spread out continuously. The terrifying pressure caused the expressions of the onlookers who had rushed over from the dark city to change. A large area of space rippled as if it was about to be torn apart. In a flash, it appeared in the air in front of Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's gaze was grave. The gray-robed man was too strong. It was difficult to resist, even if he used all his strength. Du Xiaofu, it's time for me to attack. I'll let you see my strength today. Suddenly, a terrifying aura erupted, as if a terrifying lord had been born. A dazzling golden light exploded like the sun, causing the entire night sky to be as bright as day. The terrifying aura brought about an incomparable sense of oppression. As his voice fell, a huge crystal-clear ape suddenly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Mysterious runes surged around its body, causing the surrounding space to ripple violently. Aho! The ape roared and a dazzling light shone. Its entire body was wrapped in mysterious runes, and its crystal-clear body was wrapped in multicolored light. Its eyes were lively, as if it was born with spiritual eyes that overlooked everything in the world. When the golden ape appeared, it suddenly threw out a punch. Hazy light shone as if the world had just been created. A terrifying aura erupted, causing the space in front of the fist to blur and distort. It was as if it could push and suppress everything. When the fist was thrown out, many onlookers in the distance could feel their bodies trembling. There was an inexplicable pressure in the golden ape's fist, as if it was about to burst their souls. What kind of demonic beast is that? Such terrifying power. Is that a top demonic beast on the heavenly beast list? It's too terrifying. The pressure makes one's soul tremble. The onlookers felt their hair stand on end. Even the martial marquises who were fighting, including Princess Netherworld, Wu Kei, Guo Xiaofeng, and the rest, were trembling. In the blink of an eye, the fist and the claw collided. Then, mighty energy swept across the sky like a flood. A low, muffled sound resounded in the sky, causing the entire dark city to hear it clearly. Boom! The sound waves were sonorous and deafening. Runes and energy spread across the sky. The terrifying energy caused the onlookers to narrow their eyes. Creak! With such a punch, the gray-robed man's eyes narrowed as his body was forced to retreat dozens of feet. The gigantic ape also staggered a few steps back. However, compared to the gray-robed man, it was clearly in a much better condition. Is this the strength of Du Xiaorao? Du Xiaofu was shocked. The gigantic ape was transformed by Du Xiaoyao. It was able to force a Nirvana realm expert to retreat with a single punch. How terrifying was that strength? It was simply abnormal. Tianwu Academy, back off quickly. Just as Du Xiaoyao made her move, dazzling energy spread across the sky. A graceful figure suddenly appeared in the night sky. Her long hair draped over her shoulders, and she was dressed in red clothes. Under the illumination of the runes in the sky, her red dress was even more dazzling. This lady looked to be in her late teens. Compared to Ouyang Shuang and Wu Kei, she was younger. Her skin was whiter than snow, and she was incomparably beautiful. Junior sister Xinyan is here. Back off quickly, Netherworld Princess, Wu Kei shouted. The nether snake sword in her hand emitted a sword ray that was 100 feet long. She pushed back the black-robed old man, and her graceful figure retreated rapidly. Swish! Swish! Gua Xiaofeng, Bai Mingfeng, and Liu Xiao released their sword rays, saber rays, and took the opportunity to retreat. Du Xiaoyao, little tiger, back off! Du Xiaofu shouted. The golden rune wings on his back flapped and retreated rapidly. He took the opportunity to grab Ouyang Shuang, who was not far away. Tai, Ehu Luo Tianqin, and Pan Yu also retreated rapidly and retreated to the side of the red-robed lady. Everyone from Tianwu Academy retreated. When the mysterious black-robed young man saw this, he easily forced his opponent back and also retreated rapidly. Chapter 300. We can't stay here any longer. Let's retreat first. The red-robed lady said to Wu Kei, Gua Xiaofeng, Liu Xiao, and the rest who were retreating rapidly. Her limpid eyes were extremely pure, and her long eyelashes fluttered. Her nose was tall and straight, and her lips were red and translucent. Her teeth were as white as pearls, and her aura was otherworldly. Trying to escape? None of you will be able to escape today. The gray-robed man shouted coldly. Cold Xian Qi spread out in all directions, shrouding the sky. Like a violent flood, it swept towards the group from Tianwu Academy. Boundless energy waves filled everyone's eyes, and a vast pressure spread out. At this moment, the gray-robed man was at the Nirvana realm, and he had already used his full strength. One could imagine the power he possessed, and it was probably enough to destroy everything. The spectators in the sky were shocked, and they wondered when such an expert had appeared in Dark City. Who will help me block this person's attack and buy me some time? The red-robed lady looked at the sky, but there were not many fluctuations in her beautiful eyes. Her limpid eyes were extremely pure, and her delicate body was like a willow tree. She walked out slowly, light and tender, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that she was perfect. Her aura was otherworldly, and she was like a pure white celestial flower on a celestial mountain. Compared to Princess Netherworld, Wu Kei, who was beside her, she was like an angel and a devil. At the same time, the woman in red's hand seals began to change and condense. As her hand seals changed, waves of heaven and earth energy began to rapidly fluctuate in the air. Her long black hair that was as black as ink was naturally draped over her waist. At this time, as the waves of energy danced in her mind, she was as beautiful as a fairy that had walked out from a painting. Let me block this person's attack. As the red-robed lady spoke, the mysterious black-robed young man seemed to know that it would be difficult for anyone to block the gray-robed man, and his slender figure stepped forward. Under his bangs, the black-robed young man's sharp eyes calmly looked at the energy that was sweeping towards him. His hand seals were profound, and his arm trembled, creating many blurry afterimages. Waves of faint black energy suddenly whizzed out, and runes flickered faintly. Then, waves of energy swept out like the waves of the sea. Floating sky suppression. The black-robed young man shouted in a low voice. Then, a sharp light suddenly appeared in his eyes. Then, waves of energy spread out from his eyes. Each wave was fiercer than the previous one. The symbols were dazzling, and the imposing aura surged. It seemed as if it could suppress everything. It was terrifying. Martial Lord Mysterious Level. Gua Xiaofeng, Bai Mingfeng, Liu Xiao, and the others were also shocked at this moment. Only now did they truly know the cultivation level of this black-robed young man. He had reached the mysterious stage of the martial lord realm. The age of this black-robed youth was clearly only a few years older than them. However, he had already reached the mysterious level of the martial marquis stage. They could not help but exclaim in admiration, "This guy is very strong." Du Xiaofu was also surprised. That mysterious black-robed youth was extraordinarily strong, and he was only using his full strength at this moment. Hulala! The two energies collided in midair, and it was difficult to determine the victor for a moment. However, the young man in the black robe was able to resist the attack of the man in the gray robe who was at the Nirvana realm. No matter what kind of cold and terrifying attack the gray-robed man unleashed, he was able to block it with his suppressive and murderous aura. Halala! The symbol energy bloomed in the sky. In the end, the two terrifying energies dissipated in midair. The black-robed youth and the gray-robed man were both pushed back. Humph! However, the black-robed youth seemed to be at a disadvantage. For some unknown reason, he let out a faint groan from his throat, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. In terms of aura, the black-robed youth was obviously on par with the gray-robed youth. Now that he was injured, it seemed to have touched some of the hidden injuries in his body. "All right, let me do it now." At the same time, the lady in red stepped out. She was wrapped in a tight-fitting red dress, and her figure could be said to be extremely beautiful. At this moment, her entire body was wrapped in dazzling symbol energy. In her hands, there were 17 formation flags condensed. The 17 formation flags were all emitting a shocking fluctuation. However, at this moment, all the energy in the lady in red's body seemed to have been poured into the 17 formation flags, causing her delicate face to turn pale. Xinyan Gu Xinyan? She's actually a 5-star beginner talisman master. Du Xiaofu was quite surprised. This lady in red should be Gu Xinyan, who was ranked second on the martial roll. She was actually a 5-star beginner talisman master. The aura that spread out from her body just now was clearly that of a martial arts cultivator. Her aura was even above that of Princess Netherworld Wu Quebec. Therefore, this lady in red was also a cultivator of both talisman and martial arts. Judging from her age, her talent could be said to be absolutely terrifying. She was indeed someone who had created a record in the war realm. Spirit-suppressing Heavenly Phoenix formation. The lady in red waved her hand, and the 17 formation flags immediately swept to the front. They covered the front with a lightning-like speed and trajectory. Then, the formation flags turned into dazzling symbol-light pillars and disappeared. The sky suddenly fluctuated violently, and the space suddenly trembled. Rumble! In an instant, the wind whistled high up in the sky, and the space became chaotic. Dazzling symbols spread all over the sky, and the entire space rumbled and trembled. A powerful talisman array appeared in the air, enveloping the gray-robed man, the black-clothed old man, and the other 6 martial marquis cultivators behind him. The talisman array covered the sky and the sun, causing the wind and clouds to surge in the sky, and the world to darken. The talisman array was terrifying, and the endless energy from the talisman array distorted the space. In the end, it faintly transformed into a gigantic heavenly phoenix silhouette that was several hundred feet tall. Cool! The heavenly phoenix silhouette was like a living creature, and its entire body was filled with an ancient aura. An earth-shattering coup resounded between the sky and the earth. Its might suppressed the sky, and its power made one's heart tremble. Heavens, what a terrifying talisman array! What a powerful talisman array! In the entire Dark City, it would be difficult to find a talisman master of this level. At that moment in the night sky, countless gazes in the city were astonished. The terrifying talisman array's power was too terrifying. Let's go first. The lady in red's face was pale. At the same time, her beautiful figure swept through the sky. So. Upon seeing this, the group behind her immediately retreated. Du Xiaofu, retracted the faint golden talisman wings behind him, and leaped onto the back of the king-scale demonic tiger. Du Xiaoyao's nimble little macaque body also landed on Du Xiaofu's shoulder. One by one, the figures soared into the sky and disappeared into the distant night sky. The students of Tianwu Academy are truly terrifying. Each of them is stronger than the previous. As expected of Tianwu Academy, I heard that Ghost Claw killed an elder of Tianwu Academy and even snatched the Spirit Heaven Vine. It seems like Tianwu Academy won't let Ghost Claw off this time. Those extraordinary students of Tianwu Academy are probably here to capture Ghost Claw. Why would those people in the talisman array kill the students of Tianwu Academy? Could it be that they are in cahoots with Ghost Claw? Under the cover of night, the dark city was terrifyingly huge. In the night sky, Du Xiaofu followed the lady in red's group and flew through numerous buildings. After half an hour, they landed in a courtyard far away from the hustle and bustle of the city. So. Figures landed one after another. Wu Kei, Guo Xiaofeng, Bai Mingfeng, Liu Xiao, and the others all landed on the ground with pale faces. Puqi, Luo Tianqin, Pan Yu, and Tai, who landed on the ground with blood spurting from their mouths. Their injuries seemed to be severe, especially Tai Hu's. Junior sister Xinyan, why are you here? I heard from the general that you felt a breakthrough and are preparing to break through. Wu Kei walked to the lady in red's side and looked at her. Fortunately, you arrived in time. Otherwise, we would be in trouble. Those people seem to be prepared. I just broke through as a talisman master. The general and Ghost Child asked me to find you, said the woman in red. Her voice was clear and melodious. Suddenly, her pale face turned ghastly pale, and she coughed up a mouthful of blood. She frowned and said, "They've broken the formation. It took them longer than I expected. Based on their techniques, they don't seem to be from the Dark Forest. They don't even seem to be from the Stone Dragon Empire. If I'm not wrong, those people shouldn't be from the Stone Dragon Empire. They should be from the Dark Nether Church. The Dark Nether Church is extremely powerful and notorious." The mysterious, black-clad young man walked out. His figure was slender and thin, and there was a hint of indifference on his face. His eyes were piercingly cold, but his face was pale at this moment. He said indifferently, "I don't know how you've offended the people from Dark Nether Sect, but you'd better be careful. Dark Nether Sect has always been ruthless. If they want to kill someone, they'll definitely pursue that person to the ends of the earth." The lady in red looked at the black-robed young man with doubt in her beautiful eyes. The lady in red was the second on Tianwu Academy's martial ranking, Jade Maiden Gu Xinyan. Regardless of talent or strength, she had always surpassed the martial ranking. She was an unreachable existence in Tianwu Academy. The only person who could compare to her was the first on the martial rankings, General Buddy in Mountain River. Wu Kei could see Gu Xinyan's confusion. Her red lips parted slightly as she said to Gu Xinyan, "It was all thanks to his help just now. Otherwise, it would have been even more difficult for us today. The consequences wouldn't have been like this. Thank you for your help earlier." Hearing this, Gu Xinyan nodded slightly at the black-robed young man. Her otherworldly temperament was inexplicably moving. She stood side by side with Wu Kei, and they were equally beautiful. However, the two completely opposite styles were breathtaking. Chapter 301. We owed you a favor first, and now that we've returned it, we won't steal or rob in the future. You guys better be careful. Goodbye. The moment he finished speaking, the black-robed youth turned around and left with an arrogant smile. His gaze did not linger on Wu Kei and Gu Xinyan. "Brother, you seem to be injured. Do you want to come with us? Those people might come looking for you, and we might be able to take care of each other if we go together." Du Xiaofu spoke as he looked at the black-robed youth. Using his mental energy, Du Xiaofu discovered that the profound energy within the black-robed youth's body was in a mess. There was something wrong with him. "No, their target is you guys. It will be more dangerous if I stay with you guys. The black-robed youth paused in his steps as he looked at Du Xiaofu. Then his gaze landed on Du Xiaoyao, who was on Du Xiaofu's shoulder. That's true. You might be in more danger if you stay with us. Then be careful. We owe you a favor now. If you need any help in the future, you can find us at Tianwu Academy. My name is Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaofu said straightforwardly. He felt that this black-robed youth's temper was quite compatible with his. Yi Piaoling. The black-robed youth nodded slightly. Profound energy surged beneath his feet as he pushed off the ground. His figure soared into the air, and after a few flashes, he disappeared into the night sky. This person is very strong. I wonder where he came from, Liu Xiao said. Many cracks had appeared on his dark red robe, and his face was pale. It was obvious that he had used up most of his energy. As the black-robed youth called Yi Piaoling left, Gu Xinyan's gaze landed on Du Xiaofu and Du Xiaoyao, who was on his shoulder. However, she only glanced at them briefly before saying to the people around her, "Let's stay here for now. This place should be safe for now." The general and Ghost Child are also inside, but their condition isn't too good. They're both heavily injured. The second on the martial ranking, Gu Xinyan, is quite pretty. Du Xiaofu looked at Gu Xinyan, sizing her up without any hesitation. Gu Xinyan was also a martial artist and talisman cultivator, and her strength was terrifying. Tianwu Academy was truly extraordinary. Those who ranked at the top of the martial ranking were all powerful, especially the top 5. Do you think Junior Xinyan is very pretty? Why are you looking at her like that? Little pervert, I'll tell Yuruo. Ouyang Shuang's voiced Du Xiaofu's voice. Shuang Lucas Du Xiaofu, Xiaoyao Luo's. Du Xiaofu's voice, Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu, you're shameless. Hearing this, Ouyang Shuang immediately glared at Du Xiaofu and shouted. However, Du Xiaofu had already taken a step forward and distanced himself from her. When she saw the surrounding people looking at her in confusion, Ouyang Shuang could only stomp her feet and give up. However, her gaze was filled with the desire to skin Du Xiaofu alive. Why do you like looking at their breasts? That Gu Xinyan also has a talisman weapon on her body. I really want to eat it. Du Xiaoyao whispered into Du Xiaofu's ear. She really didn't know what could be more attractive than talisman weapons and spiritual herbs. Du Xiaofu rolled his eyes at Du Xiaoyao and said, "Nonsense, I didn't look at it on purpose. It's just that it's very obvious." After a while, after walking through a few alleys, Du Xiaofu arrived at a quiet courtyard. He saw the first ranked general on the martial ranking, No Touch the Mountains and Rivers, and 9 other too young, Ghost Child. The general looked to be around 21 or 22 years old. His facial features were clear and deep, and his skin was slightly tanned. When one looked at him, one would feel as if he could dominate the sky and suppress the mountains and rivers. What surprised Du Xiaofu was that this general was the extraordinary young man he had met at the 5th level of the combat realm. As for 9 Nether Too Young and Ghost Child's aura, Du Xiaofu felt as if he was truly unapproachable. He wore a black robe that was as black as ink. However, his handsome face had a hint of wanton and unrestrained aura, which made him less approachable. However, there was still a faint sense of sharpness. I didn't expect you to come as well. I just heard that you broke a new record at the 5th level of the combat realm. You are indeed powerful. In the small hall, the general nodded slightly at the crowd. However, when he saw Du Xiaofu, he was a little surprised. At this moment, his face was pale and his robe was torn. It seemed like he had just experienced a fierce battle. Breaking a new record? If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have broken it. When the record was mentioned, Du Xiaofu thought of the 8 million points he had. He didn't feel good. So you're Du Xiaofu. I heard that you beat up the people of the Divine Light Court. Not bad, you deserved it. Ghost Child looked at Du Xiaofu and said with a gentle voice. His gaze then fell on Du Xiaoyao's shoulder. He was curious. His face was as pale as the general's, and there was some blood at the corner of his mouth. "You're injured. Is it serious?" Princess Netherworld Wu Kei came to Ghost Child's side. She took out a soft handkerchief and gently wiped the blood from the corner of Ghost Child's mouth. She forced a few healing pills into Ghost Child's mouth. Her expression became even more charming. It was obvious that the relationship between the two of them was not ordinary. People could only envy them. "It's all right. We managed to survive." Ghost Claw's cultivation base had a breakthrough. Both the general and I had to use our trump cards to escape. "We almost couldn't make it back," Ghost Child said with a serious look in his eyes. "You found Ghost Claw?" Wu Kei was surprised. "Ghost Claw seems to know our whereabouts. He wanted to kill us." Ghost Child said, "It seems like tonight's events are not normal. You were intercepted by the Ghost Claw, and we were intercepted by those mysterious people. This seems to be a plan that was prepared long ago." Guo Xiaofeng said he felt that things were very complicated, as if everything had been planned by someone. Our whereabouts should be under someone's control. Ghost Claw was already prepared and knew that we would come. Li Yuxiao said there was a faint evil aura around him. Hearing Li Yuxiao's words, everyone in the hall fell into silence. Everyone present was currently ranked at the top of the martial ranking, especially the top 5 of the martial ranking. However, they were nearly wiped out in one fell swoop tonight. Everyone present was not stupid and could naturally figure out the reason behind this. "Other than you guys, is there anyone else who knows about this place?" Du Xiaofu suddenly asked the general, Gu Xinyan and the rest. Not many people knew that he had come to Dark City from Tianwu Academy. However, that mysterious black-clothed man knew his identity. Du Xiaofu couldn't help but suspect that those mysterious people had spies in Tianwu Academy. If someone else knew about this place, Du Xiaofu was worried that it would be like the Four Seasons. Perhaps it would also be razed to the ground. If they were struck by over 100 scarlet astral heavenly lightning bullets again, they wouldn't be as lucky as before. If they were struck by over 100 scarlet astral heavenly lightning bullets without any warning, an ordinary martial lord wouldn't be able to escape unscathed. This is a secret location of our Tianwu Academy in Darkness City. Initially, we intended to stay here, but due to the distance from the auction, we decided to stay at the Four Seas Tavern instead. "There shouldn't be any outsiders who know about it," Guo Xiaofeng said. "Didn't people know about it at the number 4 inn?" Du Xiaofu asked. "Let's go. We will leave the city immediately. Let's leave Dark City first." Hearing Su Yu's words, the general suddenly said with a grave expression, So. In a short moment, many figures left in the night. In a few flashes, they disappeared from the sky. Dawn quietly caught up with the night, and the curtain of night began to fade. A gray ray of light pierced through the hazy brown curtain of night. Unknowingly, it was already daybreak. Under the hazy morning light, over a dozen figures flashed out from the forest outside Dark City and landed on a mountain peak. They were Du Xiaofu, the general, Gu Xinyan, and the rest. When the figures landed, a jade strip in the general's hand suddenly emitted a rune light before shattering. We were indeed discovered. Looking at the shattered jade strip in his hand, the general's expression turned grave. When he left the courtyard, he had specially set up some small traps so that he would be able to detect anyone approaching. He didn't expect that they would really be discovered. Seeing the situation, everyone's expression changed. If they hadn't left, there would be another fierce battle. The consequences would be even more severe than before. Wu Kei looked at Du Xiaofu and asked doubtfully, "How did you know that it wasn't safe?" Du Xiaofu's clear eyes narrowed as he replied, "If I'm not wrong, Tianwu Academy has probably been monitored by those people. Naturally, they would know where we are. The Academy had just obtained the profound Spirit Heavenspan Vine, and it was immediately snatched away. Ghost Claw broke through the restriction. Someone must have secretly helped and leaked the news. Ghost Child and I were ambushed, and you were surrounded in the Four Seasons. Even your final resting place was discovered. I'm afraid that the Academy isn't being monitored. Instead, there's a traitor who leaked the information. The general placed one hand behind his back and crushed the jade slip in his hand into powder, scattering it on the ground. Ghost Claw openly auctioned the profound spirit heaven-span vine in Dark City, and we were ambushed. The strength of those people isn't ordinary. Their plan seems to be targeting Tianwu Academy. I suspect that someone is targeting Tianwu Academy. We have to inform the Academy about this, Gusinyan said as ripples flickered in her beautiful eyes. There's not much time left. The auction for the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine will begin in 2 days. If the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine is successfully auctioned off and the Ghost Claw disappears, then it will be even more difficult to find him. If the Ghost Claw and the others are really here to deal with us, then they won't give up so easily. They will definitely find us again. We're all injured, so let's heal first. We'll think about what to do next. Chapter 302. N. Everyone nodded. They were all injured, and what they needed the most right now was to treat their injuries. Du Xiaofu did not say much. He also needed to treat his injuries. In the fight with the gray-robed man, he had suffered quite a bit. If not for the strength of his physical body, the consequences would have been dire. After a while, everyone found a place to treat their injuries. After feeding the king-scaled demonic tiger some healing elixirs, Du Xiaofu and Ouyang Shuang also found a nearby natural cave. Are you all right? Ouyang Shuang asked Du Xiaofu. When she first saw Du Xiaofu fighting with the gray-robed man, he should have been injured. The black-robed man's strength was too terrifying. If it were her, she would not have been able to resist. She was even more shocked by Du Xiaofu's strength. When they were in Lanling Prefecture City, Ouyang Shuang felt that her strength was not weaker than Du Xiaofu's. But now, in less than half a year, Du Xiaofu's strength had already reached a terrifying level. It's nothing, it's nothing, Du Xiaofu said to Ouyang Shuang. Although he had suffered some injuries, they were not serious. With the strength of his physical body, although they were not light, they were not too serious either. Then Du Xiaofu seemed to think of something. He looked at Du Xiaoyao with a puzzled expression and said, Du Xiaoyao, I didn't expect your strength to be so terrifying. Very strong. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Ouyang Shuang's gaze also turned to Du Xiaoyao with shock. She had personally witnessed the strength of Du Xiaoyao's attack last night. It was definitely not an ordinary level of strength. Of course, but I used up a lot of energy. Give me some elixirs or something to recover. Du Xiaoyao's lively pale golden eyes looked at Du Xiaofu. This is extortion. Du Xiaofu glared at Du Xiaoyao. He knew that Du Xiaoyao was blackmailing him, but he still took out a lot of spiritual herbs from his Qingquan bag and handed them to Du Xiaoyao. After all, he needed Du Xiaoyao's help. The benefits he gained from comprehending in Du Xiaoyao's rune space made Du Xiaofu know that if Du Xiaoyao could let him enter her rune space to comprehend more, it would be better than comprehending alone for months or even years. Moreover, the effects would be better. Stingy, that's all, Du Xiaoyao said with a grin. However, she grabbed all the elixirs in Du Xiaofu's hands and stuffed them into her mouth. Looking at little demon, Du swallowing the spirit medicine and still leisurely and contented, Ouyang Shuang could only be used to the strange sight. To Ouyang Shuang, Du Xiaofu, and Du Xiaoyao, these two fellows were simply equally strange, both unfathomable. Let's recuperate. After which, Du Xiaofu stuffed a lot of elixirs into his mouth and sat down cross-legged to recuperate. It didn't take long for his body to be enveloped in a faint golden glow. Early in the morning, the 4 seas was razed to the ground. Countless people died and the surrounding buildings were destroyed. There were many onlookers walking around, and there seemed to be spies from the various powers among them. From time to time, there would be discussions among the crowd. They were discussing whether Tianwu Academy was planning to enter Dark City, or if they were just here for the Ghost Claw. Furthermore, several martial lord realm experts had appeared last night, and they didn't seem to be experts from the four powers. Everyone in Dark City was guessing whether a new power had entered Dark City. In any case, there was a commotion in Dark City, and the slightest movement would affect the nerves of many powers. So, they are from Tianwu Academy. Sigh. In the crowd, Hua Fangkong's face turned ugly, and he wanted to cry. His Kuei Sha gang had suffered heavy losses, and more than half of their experts had fallen. Even his Qiankuan bag had been stolen. Just thinking about it made his heart bleed. Gang leader, what should we do now? Should we find a way to take revenge and take back our Qiankuan bag? A severely injured Meridian Spirit Realm Nirvana Realm Cultivator asked from behind Hua Fangkong. His face was pale. He was one of the lucky survivors last night, but his Qiankuan bag had been stolen by the purple-robed youth. Revenge? How can we take revenge? Tianwu Academy isn't something we can afford to offend. Hua Fangkong said solemnly. He also wanted to take revenge and take back his Qiankuan bag. However, he knew that the youths from Tianwu Academy might be young, but each of them was more terrifying than the last. None of them were easy to deal with. This was especially true for the purple-robed young man who had robbed his Qiankuan bag. Hua Fangkong could tell that the purple-robed young man's strength might not be the most terrifying among the crowd, but his overbearing killing intent was the most terrifying. Yesterday, more than 100 masked Meridian Spirit Realm cultivators had been suppressed and slaughtered by the purple-robed youth alone. His actions were clean and swift, and the thought of it was enough to make one's hair stand on end. Gang leader, we don't have a choice. However, we can look for the Twin Hatred Sect, Black Fiend Sect, Muklan Fort, or Myriad Cloud Pavilion. They have been trying to rope you in. If we ask for their help, I believe they will not reject. The pale-faced Meridian Spirit Realm Nirvana Realm Cultivator said. Hearing this, Hua Fangkong's face darkened. He looked straight at the Meridian Spirit Realm Nirvana Realm Cultivator and shouted softly, "Idiot! Do you really think they are trying to rope us in? Their goal is to annex us. Once we ask for their help, I'm afraid we won't be able to get away. There won't be a chief evil gang in the future." Early in the morning, looking from afar, the sky seemed to be shrouded in a thin layer of translucent fog. Then the sunlight shone, filling the sky with a faint golden glow. In a small hall in a secluded courtyard, 8 people stood. The skinny ghost claw, the gray-robed man, the black-robed old man with a mask, and the other 5 masked martial marquis realm cultivators. "Did you let the general and ghost child escape?" The black-robed old man asked Ghost Claw. His eyes were always suffused with a faint chill, and he looked sinister. "I was careless. I originally wanted to tear the general apart with my own hands. Who knew that the 2 brats had so many trump cards on them? They trapped me for a while and then escaped." Ghost Claw's face was gloomy. His body was all skin and bones, and his eyes were sunken deep into his eye sockets. At this moment his eyes were extremely sinister. He looked at the black-robed old man and the others and said, "So many of you attacked together, but you couldn't do anything to the others. Is this all there is to it? The 7 evils of the dark underworld are a little overrated." "Ghost Claw, what do you mean?" The black-robed old man's eyes were cold, and his voice was sinister. He said in a deep voice, "If it weren't for some unforeseen circumstances, those people from the 4 seas wouldn't have been able to escape so easily. I don't mean anything. The most important thing is to kill those brats from Tianwu Academy as soon as possible. Let's hurry up and make our preparations. The commotion you caused this time is too big. Based on my understanding of Darkness City, I'm afraid that the 1 pavilion, 1 castle, and 2 sects have already noticed this. This is Darkness City, not the Dark Nether sect. If we cause too big of a commotion, I'm afraid those fellows will be displeased." Ghost Claw's eyes were filled with a sharp killing intent. His shriveled hand was like a ghost claw, and a baleful aura was faintly discernible. "So what if it's the 1 pavilion, 1 castle, and 2 sects? My dark underworld sect isn't afraid of them. the black-robed old man said in a deep voice. "All right, let's go and recover first. Those brats from Tianwu Academy will definitely appear again. As long as the profound Spirit Heaven Vine is still in Dark City, they won't hide. We'll think of a way to deal with them then," the gray-robed old man said. The gray-robed man raised his head slightly. Beneath the gray robe, there was a long scar on his forehead that was covered by the hair on his forehead. However, it was still very eye-catching. Within his eyes there was a gray-white light. Ghost Claw and the black-robed old man didn't say anything else and left separately. The gray-robed old man stood quietly for a moment before leaving the courtyard. A moment later, the figure of the gray-robed man appeared in another secluded courtyard. He pushed open the half-closed door and gently walked in. There was a young man sitting in the room at this time. He looked to be around 25 or 26 years old. His extremely glossy long silver hair draped down like a painful waterfall. It was loosely tied up with a monochromatic ribbon. He looked handsome. His eyes were cold and unapproachable, causing people to involuntarily feel a chill in their hearts. "You failed." The gray-robed old man walked into the room. The young man didn't even raise his gaze and continued sitting there. He looked out of the window and murmured, "It's a new day. A beautiful day has begun. There are some unforeseen events. Someone interfered, and he isn't weak. There was also a strange demonic beast that appeared, and it was very powerful." The gray-robed old man stood there and didn't get too close. His eyes were filled with respect, but there was also a hint of wariness and fear. It was an indescribably complicated gaze. A failure is a failure. There's no need to find excuses. You guys caused too much of a commotion last night, but the results weren't ideal. I'm worried about you guys, so I came here. At this moment, the pavilion and castle should have already noticed you guys. Be more careful in the future and follow the plan, the young man said calmly. His voice had a fleeting feeling as he continued. It's better to be careful. I heard that the Dark City is much more complicated than the pavilion and castle. This is also the main reason why no one has dared to touch the Dark Forest for so many years. Even though I don't believe it, I'm afraid that those people have been misled by the rumors. However, since the sect master has instructed us to handle the matter with Tianwu Academy well, we should be more careful. It's enough to kill a few people from Tianwu Academy. Everything that happens after that will have nothing to do with us. Also, we have to bring back the profound Spirit Heaven Vine. The sect master wants to forge a Tao artifact for it. Yes, the gray-robed old man nodded and replied respectfully. Did you meet that young man named Du Xiaofu? The silver-haired young man asked. The gray-robed old man's eyes flickered, and he replied, We fought. He's only at the great perfection of Pulsation Realm, but his strength is sufficient to contend against Martial Marquis initial stage cultivators. His physical body is extremely terrifying. Thanks to question 83B2BC6329E05B69D44444B93 for the tip. It's the end of the month, so don't forget about the fresh flowers. Xiaoyu, go back to writing. Chapter 303. Time passed quickly, and a day and night passed in the blink of an eye. Early in the morning, the brilliant sunlight shone through the gaps between the leaves of the dense forest. Through the morning fog, the rays of light scattered across the dense forest. Inside the cave, the faint golden halo around Du Xiaogang slowly retracted, like a small golden snake, mysteriously entering his body. Who? A mouthful of turbid qi flowed from his abdomen down his throat, and finally exhaled through his mouth. His eyelashes trembled a few times, and Du Xiaofu opened his eyes. Faint golden light flickered in his eyes, faintly exuding a domineering sharpness and intimidating sharpness, following which his eyes gradually regained their clarity and then became more profound. A moment later, in a cave, the general, Gu Xinyan, Ghost Child, Du Xiaofu, and the others gathered. After recuperating for a day and night, and with the help of many pills, everyone's injuries had mostly recovered. However, to Taihu, Luo Tianqian, and Panyu, who were already heavily injured, their injuries were still severe. To completely recover was definitely not something that could be done in a short period of time. Tomorrow is the day of the auction for the profound spirit, heavenly vine. The general's gaze swept across everyone, his brows slightly furrowed, and his eyes were filled with seriousness. Hearing this, everyone's brows furrowed, and the cave was silent for a moment. Everyone knew that the Academy wanted them to retrieve the profound spirit, heavenly vine, and capture Ghost Claw. But the difficulty seemed to be much greater than they had imagined. Those mysterious people were almost certainly related to Ghost Claw. Even if everyone attacked together, it would be difficult to contend against those people, and it would be even more difficult to retrieve the profound spirit, heavenly vine that was about to be auctioned off. Even if we inform the Academy elders now, I'm afraid it will be too late, Luo Tianqian said. From Dark City to Tianwu Academy, even for a martial lord, it would take at least 2 to 3 days. If they sent the news back to the Academy elders now, even if the Academy elders came to Dark City, who knew how many days it would take? Naturally, it would be difficult to make it in time. By the time the elders arrived, the profound spirit, heavenly vine would probably have fallen into someone else's hands. Moreover, everyone knew in their hearts that if the Academy's elders could appear in the Dark City, they would have gone to the Dark City long ago and wouldn't need to attack them. Does anyone have any thoughts? If not, I think we can only enter the Dark City again. Even if we have to snatch it by force, we have to retrieve the profound spirit, heavenly vine. If the profound spirit, heavenly vine, and ghastly claw leave the Dark City, the reputation of our Tianwu Academy will be completely tarnished. The general looked at the crowd and sighed. Everyone was silent for a while. Guo Xiaofeng raised his head slightly and said, "Let's take it. The mysterious spirit heavenspan, vine, can't leave Dark City. If we just watch the mysterious spirit, heavenspan vine, and the ghost claw leave, we won't be able to go out and meet people in the future." Snatch! Ghost Child simply uttered a single word, and a faint murderous aura emanated from his body. The situation is different now. If we go and snatch it, let's not talk about the fact that the Mu family fort is watching over the profound spirit, heavenly vine. Even if the elders go and snatch it, I'm afraid they won't succeed. Moreover, it's difficult for us to do anything to Ghastly Claw and the others, Gu Xinyan said. Her beautiful eyes were filled with a dignified brilliance. Upon hearing this, everyone's expression changed. Naturally, everyone knew what Gu Xinyan had said. Is the Mu family fort watching over the profound spirit, heavenly vine now? Du Xiaofu, asked the crowd. That's right. As far as we know, the Mu family fort is in charge of the auction. Wu Kei nodded and said. Du Xiaofu raised his head and pondered for a while. He then looked at the crowd and said, "How about this? Let me go to the auction alone. Don't tell me you want to bid for the profound spirit, heavenly vine at the auction. We don't have the capital to get the profound spirit, heavenly vine." Guo Xiaofeng reminded Du Xiaofu again. "If you want to go to the auction, I'm afraid it won't work." Gu Xinyan also said to Du Xiaofu. She looked at Du Xiaofu with a doubtful gaze and said softly, "The profound spirit, heavenly vine, is priceless." Since the news of the auction spread, the entire Dark City has been in an uproar. According to the news I received, even the major forces in the surrounding empires have sent experts. If we want to bid for it, let alone the fact that we can't afford the price, the most important thing is that the Academy asked us to snatch it, not auction it. They didn't give us any resources to bid for it, so we can't compete at all. Gu Xinyan paused and looked at Du Xiaofu's eyes. There was a slight fluctuation in her eyes. She opened her red lips and faintly revealed her teeth. She continued, "Even if we manage to get the profound spirit, heavenly vine at the auction, I'm afraid that as soon as we leave the Dark City, we will immediately be snatched by many forces. This is the Dark City and the Dark Forest. No one will follow the rules." Du Xiaofu had a faint, bitter smile on his face. He shook his head and said, "I don't plan on bidding for the profound spirit, heavenly vine. Since no one has any ideas right now, I want to give it a try. As for whether it will work or not, I don't know right now." Everyone was silent when they heard this. After a while, the general looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "What do you plan to do? Can you tell us?" Du Xiaofu shook his head and said, "I haven't thought about it yet, but it is better than doing nothing. Maybe I will be able to come up with a solution when the time comes." In fact, it was not that Du Xiaofu didn't have a plan. However, since they suspected that there was a spy in the academy, Du Xiaofu had to be careful and keep it a secret from everyone. It was always better to be careful. "I agree with you. It is better than doing nothing. Maybe we will be able to come up with a solution when the time comes." Gu Xinyan looked straight at Du Xiaofu's clear eyes and said, "I'll go with you so that we can take care of each other. I should be more familiar with the Dark City than you. Maybe I can help you a little." "Well," Du Xiaofu hesitated for a bit before nodding his head. "Although I don't know what you plan to do, if you need my help, just let me know. Or we can all go together, just the two of you. If something happens, there will be no one to take care of you." The general said to Du Xiaofu, "I've almost recovered. How about I go with you?" Li Yuxiao also said to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu shook his head and said, "It will be inconvenient if there are too many people. It will attract attention." Du Xiaofu looked at the general and said, "There really is something that I need your help with." Several hours later, outside the Dark City, in front of the huge city gate, Du Xiaofu looked at a woman wearing a cloak and a light red veil covering her face and said, "That's right, it should be like this. The effect is much better. Am I really that eye-catching?" Under the red veil, a pair of beautiful eyes gazed at Du Xiaofu. She smiled faintly and said, "However, I don't understand why you have to wear a cloak. It seems that not many people will look at you. Of course, you are so beautiful that you will attract attention wherever you go. I'm afraid that it won't be long before those people from last night notice us. As for me, those people from last night will definitely remember me. It won't be good if they recognize me. In addition, I also have some enemies in the Dark City. Now is not the time to deal with them. So, hiding for the time being is not wrong." Du Xiaofu said helplessly. In order to make it easier to enter the Dark City, he had to wear a black cloak. First, he did not want to attract the attention of those mysterious assassins from last night. Second, Du Xiaofu did not forget that he still had an enemy in the Dark City, the Black Evil Sect. At this time, Du Xiaofu knew that it was not the time to deal with the Black Evil Sect. Today, he entered the Dark City again in disguise. Du Xiaofu only brought Du Xiaoyao and Gu Xinyan. He let Ouyang Shuang and the king-scaled demonic tiger stay with the general and the others. First, he was afraid that too many people would attract attention. In addition, Ouyang Shuang and the king-scaled demonic tiger's strength was not enough. If something happened, Du Xiaofu was afraid that he would not be able to protect them. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Gu Xinyan smiled lightly. Her smile was beautiful, and her face under the red veil was breathtaking. However, no one could see it at this time. She said, "I didn't think that you would have enemies. Being your enemy must not be too good." She still remembered that outside the Peace Square, she had seen with her own eyes how fierce this young man was. When he fought, he would not be polite at all. Du Xiaofu's clear eyes flashed with a cold light. He naturally had to take revenge on the Black Evil Sect, but now was not the time. Of course, Du Xiaofu also knew that his current strength was not enough to deal with the entire Black Evil Sect. He knew from Wu Kei that there were martial kings in the one pavilion, one castle, and 2 sects in the Dark City. It was rare to see them in the outside world. It seems that many people have spiritual weapons and practitioner weapons on them. I want to eat them. Du Xiaoyao suddenly said. She squatted on Du Xiaofu's shoulder and looked at the group of brightly dressed figures entering the city. She felt the aura of many spiritual weapons, and some people even had practitioner weapons on them. She had already looked at Du Xiaoyao many times and heard Du Xiaoyao's words along the way. However, when she heard Du Xiaoyao say that she wanted to eat spiritual weapons and practitioner weapons, Gu Xinyan could not help but tremble. Then Gu Xinyan's eyes followed Du Xiaoyao's gaze and looked at the group of brightly dressed figures entering the city. She glanced at them, and under the red veil, her eyes narrowed slightly. She was like a misty rain that had gathered for half a lifetime. She said softly, "Tomorrow is the auction for the mysterious spirit, heavenly vine. Many forces, including the forces of the surrounding empires, have rushed into the dark city. I'm afraid that tomorrow's auction will be very popular. However, no matter who obtains the mysterious spirit, heavenly vine in the end, danger will be everywhere." "What are those people's motives?" Du Xiaofu murmured. If it was for the mysterious spirit, heavenly vine, Ghost Claw and the others could have fled far away. Chapter 304. However, if a treasure like the mysterious spirit, heavenly vine was not their goal, then what was their real goal? Du Xiaofu was puzzled and could not figure it out. "Where are we going now?" Gu Xinyan looked at Du Xiaofu through her red veil. Her lips moved slightly, and the corners of her mouth curved into a perfect smile. Du Xiaofu said, "To the auction at the Mu clan fort. I want to take a look first. Do you know where it is?" "I do." Gu Xinyan nodded. In the dark city, the streets and alleys were bustling with activity during the day. The crowd was surging, accompanied by the sound of chatter. In the streets and alleys, many unfamiliar figures could be seen over the past 2 days, but they did not attract too much attention. For the dark city, it was normal for strangers to appear in the dark city. In the streets and alleys, among the bustling crowd, there was no lack of people discussing the great battle in the dark city last night. Many martial, marquis, realm experts fought, and it was extremely shocking. When the crowd vividly described it, with some exaggeration, the rumors became more and more outrageous. The Mu Clan Trading Company stood on the busiest and most prosperous street in the dark city. The majestic building stood tall and occupied a large area, almost occupying half of the street. In the trading company, there was a dazzling array of goods. It was said that in the VIP lounge on the second floor, even black-level upper cultivation methods, the secret bones of powerful demonic beasts on the earthly beast ranking, noble-grade martial techniques, noble-grade elixirs, and so on could be purchased. However, even in the lawless dark city, where strength reigned supreme, no one dared to have any ideas about the Mu Clan Trading Company. This was because everyone knew that the Mu Clan Fort was behind the Mu Clan Trading Company. The Mu Clan Fort was one of the 4 major forces in the Dark City. No one dared to have any ideas about the Mu Clan Trading Company. In the lawless Dark City, strength reigned supreme. In fact, the biggest rule was that strength reigned supreme. The Mu Clan Fort was one of the 4 major forces in the Dark City. It represented the forces in the Dark City. Over the years, there was no lack of people who had challenged the authority of the Mu Clan Fort. However, there was no doubt that those people had completely disappeared from Dark City and never appeared again. To the side of the Mu Family Trading Company, there was a rather dilapidated alley. However, it was extremely clean, and there was a simple and unadorned feel to it. It seemed that this alley had existed for many years, and even after being battered by the wind and rain, it still stood tall. On the side of the alley, there was a shabby little hut that looked out of place. Outside the hut, on top of the alley, was a thick and shabby canvas that could shelter them from the wind and rain. The alley was occupied, and 5 or 6 tables were set up. An old granny and her grandson were selling tea. In the morning, there were not many people drinking tea. There were only 2 tables. One of the tables was occupied by Du Xiaofu, who was wearing a cloak, and Gu Xinyan, whose face was covered by a red veil. In a place like Dark City, there were many people who wore cloaks or even changed their appearance, so no one found it strange. No one would come to inquire about their identities. After all, in Dark City, there were many fugitives from various empires, people who were hiding from their enemies, and people who lived in seclusion. There were many different kinds of people. At the table on the other side, there seemed to be 3 burly men sitting. They did not lower their voices as they talked about some of the dirty things that happened last night. From time to time, A few extremely rude words came out of their mouths. As Gu Xinyan listened, her face under the red veil blushed a little. That is the Mu Clan Trading Company. The auction will be held there tomorrow. Gu Xinyan looked at the magnificent building in front of her and said to Du Xiaofu, under the red veil, her red lips slightly parted as she took a sip of tea. Then her charming face slightly changed as she said with some surprise, I never imagined that the tea from such a small tea stall would be so delicious. However, business doesn't seem to be too good. Strange. If this was the imperial capital, it would be full of customers. Du Xiaofu also took a sip of tea. It was fragrant as it entered his mouth. He said, It's not some famous tea, but it's very delicious. However, the people in Dark City live a life of licking blood from the edge of the blade. I'm afraid that not many people have the leisure to drink tea. Naturally, business will be mediocre. Then, Du Xiaofu's gaze turned towards the Mu Clan Trading Company on the other side of the street. No fluctuation could be seen in his clear eyes. Have you thought of a way? Gu Xinyan asked Du Xiaofu. No, but I plan to go inside and look for someone. Hopefully I can find him. Du Xiaofu said, Dear customers, you forgot to leave the money for the tea. Just as Du Xiaofu was about to leave, a clear voice rang out. A 12 or 13-year-old boy came forward. He had a round face, 2 thin eyebrows, a pair of big eyes, and a slightly small nose. He could be considered well-proportioned. His eyes were also very bright, revealing a sense of innocence. Du Xiaofu thought that the little boy was reminding him. Only when he turned his head did he realize that it was from the table next to them. 3 big men in their 30s stood up and left. However, they seemed to have forgotten to leave the money for the tea, so the little boy chased after them. I forgot to bring some change today. I'll pay you another day. I'll owe you for now. When one of the big men saw the little boy chasing after him, he revealed a displeased expression. His eyes revealed an ominous glint as he pushed the little boy away and left. Dear customers, our tea stall is a small business. We don't accept credit. The little boy retreated a few steps. When he saw the big man's ominous appearance, his bright eyes revealed some fear. However, he immediately gathered his courage and chased after him. Blind brat, go away. The big man once again pushed the little boy away and pushed him to the ground. However, the little boy took the opportunity to hug the big man's leg and said, Dear customers, we really don't accept credit. You drank the tea, so you have to pay for the tea. Following this scene, it immediately attracted the attention of many people in the surrounding streets. Immediately, the entrance of the alley was densely packed with people. He actually didn't even pay for the tea. His character is really low. This grandfather and grandson depend on each other for survival. They rely on the money for tea to survive. Unexpectedly, there are people who don't pay for the tea. This is too much. Looking at the 3 burly men, although there weren't many good people in Dark City, when they saw that there were people who didn't even pay for tea for women, children, and the elderly and bullied the weak, the old, and the sick, this was a big taboo in Jianghu. Many people immediately showed disdain towards the 3 burly men. The people who lived in the vicinity all knew that this tea stall was run by an old granny and her grandson. They bitterly struggled to survive. That old granny had lived in this small alley for several tens of years. As for how many years, no one could remember clearly. There were many people coming and going on the street, and there were many people who came and went. Most likely, no one had lived as long as that old granny. However, as time passed, the old granny also became older and older. There were also people who heard that the old granny's grandson was adopted. He was a little beggar that was picked up on the street in front of the alley. At that time, he was only 3 or 4 years old. When the old granny picked him up, he was already on the verge of death. However, he was lucky and survived. In the blink of an eye, 8 or 9 years had passed. The little boy was already 12 or 13 years old. He was already old enough to help the old granny sell tea. The grandfather and grandson had always relied on selling tea for a living. Their days were very simple and poor. However, one could often see the little boy's face rippling with a youthful smile. At this moment, being pointed at by the surrounding crowd, the three big men's faces turned ugly. "Little bastard, get lost." The big man whose leg was hugged by the little boy was furious. He fiercely kicked the little boy several meters away and fiercely fell to the ground. Then, the three of them planned to quickly leave. With so many onlookers pointing at them, they couldn't stand it. "You guys are a little too much." At this moment, a green figure wearing a cloak blocked the three big men's path. The person who came was Du Xiaofu, who was originally planning to leave. Seeing the scene before him, he couldn't bear it anymore. Du Xiaofu's eyes under the cloak looked at the three big men and lightly said, "Pay for the tea and apologize to the little boy. Then pay 1,000 cultivation coins for the medical expenses and you can leave. Are you okay?" Gu Xinyan also went to the little boy who fell and helped him up. "Thank you, sister. I'm fine." Hearing Gu Xinyan's voice, the little boy patted the dust on his plain but clean clothes. He judged that it was a sister who shouldn't be too old. Her bright eyes revealed a kind of intelligence. "Brat, who are you? Meddling in other people's business. Do you want to die? Get lost." When the big man heard Du Xiaofu's voice, he should be a young brat. Suddenly, a fierce light flashed in his eyes, and he looked like he was about to attack. In the dark city, no one talked about mercy. "I gave you a chance, but you didn't want it. Even if you're weak, you're miserable. Keeping your life is a disaster." When Du Xiaofu's voice fell, a fist strangely fell on the big man's chest. The big man didn't have time to react and suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. "Pucci!" As the blood spurted out, the fierce-looking man didn't even have time to scream before he fell to the ground. In an instant he lost all signs of life. His eyes closed weakly, and the last thing he saw was fear and regret. "Sir, please spare our lives." When the two big men saw this, their legs suddenly trembled and they immediately knelt on the ground. They knew that they had met a strong expert. They were only in the Xiantian realm. In the eyes of the experts in the Dark City, they were no different from ants. "Pay for the medical expenses, pay for the tea, and take the body away." Du Xiaofu indifferently said. The two Xiantian realm cultivators weren't in the mood to kill them. They also didn't want to attract too much attention. Hearing this, the two big men didn't dare to delay. After leaving all the cultivation coins on their bodies, they hurriedly took their companion's body and left in a panic. They didn't dare to stay for a second longer. "Good kill. That guy deserved to die." Looking at the big man being killed, the onlookers didn't have any pity. Chapter 305. Good job, that guy deserved to die. Looking at the big man being killed, the onlookers didn't have any pity in their hearts. Inside and outside the Dark City, this kind of thing was too common, not to mention that the unlucky guy really deserved to die. Seeing that the show had come to an end, the onlookers immediately began to disperse. Everything that had just happened in front of the tea stall seemed to have never happened. Du Xiaofu put away the cultivation coins of the two big men, which was far more than 1,000 cultivation coins. Then he walked to the front of the little boy and said, "Take it. If you're not injured, go buy some good food to nourish your body." "Thank you, big brother." The little boy nodded, his cheeks slightly flushed. Then he took a bag of cultivation coins from Du Xiaofu, but his eyes were curiously looking at Du Xiaoyao, who was on Du Xiaofu's shoulder. "This is the money for my tea. Keep the change." Du Xiaofu immediately gave the little boy a handful of cultivation coins, hinted at Gu Xinyan, and immediately turned to leave. "Didn't you say that you don't want to attract attention?" Gu Xinyan walked side by side with Du Xiaofu, her red lips slightly opened, her breath like an orchid. She usually didn't speak much, but for some reason, she was unconsciously interested in the young man in front of her. She herself couldn't tell the reason. Perhaps it was because she usually didn't speak much. Du Xiaofu said, "If we don't strike hard, those guys who bully the weak and fear the strong, Even if they are honest today, they might come back to find trouble with this tea stall after we leave. Kill one, then the other two will have real scruples. Big brother, big sister, wait a moment. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, the little boy behind him caught up, ran a few steps, and handed a few cultivation coins to Du Xiaofu and said, "My mother-in-law said that you guys are good people and told me to thank big brother and big sister. So I can't take your reward anymore." "Is that so, Kay?" Du Xiaofu smiled faintly and kept the few cultivation coins. His gaze was fixed on an old granny who was staggering at the tea stall. He saw that the old granny's hair was already completely white, like silver strands, shining with sparkling white light. At this moment, her head was lowered as she tidied the tea leaves. As if sensing Du Xiaofu's gaze, the old lady raised her head slightly with a smile in her eyes. Her face was full of wrinkles, but because she always had a smile on her face, the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes were like two opened fans. But she looked extremely kind and amiable. Du Xiaofu also nodded slightly. The granny seemed to be at least 80 years old. She didn't have any aura on her body, and the little boy didn't have any aura either. They were obviously ordinary people. The granny and grandson relied on a broken tea stall to survive in a place like Dark City. It was probably very difficult for them to survive. "Thank you, big brother and big sister." After the little boy finished speaking, he left happily with a childlike smile on his face. "That's great," Gu Xinyan said softly. She didn't know what she was talking about, but her beautiful eyes revealed a smile at this moment. Du Xiaofu turned around and looked at the Mu family's trading firm in front of him and said, "Let's go. I'll go find someone first. I hope I can find him." The entrance of the Mu family's trading firm was majestic and grand. There were 2 stone sculptures in front of the door, and the door was dazzling and magnificent. Inside the trading firm, there were people coming and going. It was very lively and business was booming. There was a dazzling lineup of goods in the trading company. It was too much for the eyes to take in. There were all kinds of things for cultivation. Elixirs, all kinds of weapons, martial skills, spiritual herbs, cultivation methods, and even some unpopular defensive armors. Even the surrounding walls were hung with many weapons and armors. There are so many spiritual herbs. I want to eat them. There are also spiritual weapons. I really want to eat them. Du Xiaoyao followed Du Xiaofu into the trading firm. After seeing a lot of spiritual herbs and spiritual weapons in the weapons and spiritual herbs section, her eyes suddenly became fixed. If Du Xiaofu didn't pull her back, she would have rushed up and devoured them. It's indeed the Mu family's trading firm in the Dark City. It's not inferior to the big trading firms in the imperial capital, Gu Xinyan said softly, although she was curious about the dazzling array of cultivation items on the first floor. She didn't show any interest. Obviously, she was already very knowledgeable. Ordinary items couldn't catch her eye. "What are the 2 of you looking to buy? Is there anything I can help you with?" Just as Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan were looking around, inside the trading firm, a smart young man walked up. His attitude was very polite. Du Xiaofu looked at the smart young man and said, "Do you have a person called Mu Zhenghao here?" As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, the smart young man's face suddenly changed. His eyes were full of vigilance, and then he asked, "Why are you looking for our young fort master?" "So it's the young fort master." Du Xiaofu's eyes were full of surprise. When he was in the dark forest, Du Xiaofu remembered that he had helped a young man called Mu Zhenghao. He had a good impression of that young man, but that time he had helped because he needed to deal with the people of the Black Fiend sect. Based on the principle that the enemy of my enemy is half a friend, Du Xiaofu had helped him. Later on, Du Xiaofu had almost forgotten about that matter. It was not until a few days ago, when the auction of the Mu clan fort's trading firm was mentioned, that Du Xiaofu remembered Mu Zhenghao. At that time, he felt that the young man called Mu Zhenghao had a high status in the Mu clan fort. If he could get his help, perhaps it would be of great help in the matter of the mysterious, spiritual heavenly vine. Therefore, Du Xiaofu came to the Mu clan's trading firm. In fact, he already had a plan in mind, but he did not tell the general and the others. He was also afraid that if there were any unforeseen circumstances, it was better to be careful. At this time, the person that Du Xiaofu wanted to look for in the Mu clan's trading firm was Mu Zhenghao. Although he knew that Mu Zhenghao had a high status in the Mu clan fort, when he heard the smart young man call him the young fort master, he was slightly surprised. Then Du Xiaofu said to the smart young man, "I have some matters to discuss with him, but it's not convenient to tell you. Are you here now?" The young man looked at Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan, whose faces were covered by cloaks. His eyes moved slightly, but he did not directly tell Du Xiaofu whether Mu Zhenghao was here or not. Instead, he asked Du Xiaofu, "May I know who you are, Your Excellency?" "Who am I?" "Your young fort master probably doesn't know my name. If he is here, you can inform him that he had an appointment with me in the dark forest a few months ago, but I did not come. Now that I am in the dark city, I am here to look for him," Du Xiaofu said to the smart young man. Listening to Du Xiaofu's words, the young man felt that this person seemed to really know the young fort master. Moreover, in the dark city, no one would dare to behave atrociously in the trading house, let alone deliberately looking for the young fort master. The smart young man hesitated for a moment, then said to Du Xiaofu, "Your Excellency, please wait for a moment. I will go and inform the shopkeeper." After saying that, the smart young man immediately left in a hurry. He went to a corner of the trading house and whispered something to an old man who looked to be in his 50s. Then the old man looked over from afar, and his gaze fell on Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan, sizing them up. "I didn't expect you to know the young fort master of the Mu fort." Gu Xinyan was surprised and said softly, "We don't have much of a friendship. In fact, we are just acquaintances." "Don't get your hopes up," Du Xiaofu said. He could roughly guess what Gu Xinyan was thinking in her heart. When Du Xiaofu's voice fell, the quick-witted young man had already walked over again. The old man in his 50s in the distance had already disappeared into the trading company. The quick-witted young man said, "The two of you, please wait in the inner hall first. The shopkeeper has gone to inform the young fort master. Looks like our luck isn't bad. At least the person we are looking for is here." Du Xiaofu smiled faintly, and then followed the clever young man through an inner door of the trading company. After walking through several corridors with hidden sentry posts, they arrived at a small hall. It was luxurious yet rather low-key, and it made people feel extremely comfortable staying in it. "Please wait for a moment. The shopkeeper has already gone to inform the young fort master." The quick-witted young man served Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan some fresh fruits and tea, and then retreated. Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan looked at each other and did not say anything. Gu Xinyan was not a talkative person. In the academy, other than meeting and exchanging a few words with those who were ranked at the top of the martial roll, she had always been otherworldly, and it was rare to see her. Even if some of the students of the same generation met her, there were not many who could still speak in front of her. In the entire Tianwu Academy, she was an existence that could only be looked at from afar and could not be touched. In the entire academy, she was the most untouchable girl. Du Xiaoyao jumped down from Du Xiaofu's shoulder and jumped onto a chair beside Du Xiaofu. It sat there like a monkey, looking lively and lovable. If Gu Xinyan didn't know how terrifying little demon Du was, she probably wouldn't have been able to stop herself from hugging it. However, after knowing the terror behind Du Xiaoyao's lovable and harmless appearance, Gu Xinyan could not help but think more about it. "Haha, if I'm not wrong, it must be little brother who is looking for me." Not long after, a hearty voice came from outside the door, and a young man wearing a long gown walked in. The young man looked to be around 25 or 26 years old. When he entered the inner hall and saw Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan wearing cloaks, he did not find it strange. He must have just heard from the report that two people wearing cloaks were looking for him. Du Xiaofu looked at the young man in long gown. His face could not be considered extremely handsome, but it was filled with a heroic spirit. His face gave off a clean feeling. It was the young man in short gown, Mu Zhenghao, whom he met in the dark forest. "That's right, I'm here." Du Xiaofu stood up and took off the cloak on his head, revealing his resolute and determined face. "Sure enough, it's little brother. It's good that you're here. I've always remembered you as my savior. Since you're here, please stay here for a while. Let me do my best as a host." Mu Zhenghao laughed heartily as he walked up to Du Xiaofu and gave him a warm bear hug. He seemed to be extremely happy. When he heard the report, he immediately sensed that the valiant young man in the dark forest had arrived. Thus, he immediately rushed over. "It's time for the 8th watch. There are not enough fresh flowers. So, Xiaoyu will write the 8th watch. It's mainly because I've been writing for 18 hours since dawn last night. I feel very tired and need to rest. Recently, I've received some suggestions from my readers that Martial God's World is less passionate than Martial God's World. Xiaoyu also felt that it might be because of the recent foreshadowing, as the Dark City and Tianwu Academy are related to the foundation of the book. The foreshadowing is a little longer. Xiaoyu has received everyone's suggestions and will speed up the plot and write in a passionate style. Finally, I would like to thank my brothers and sisters for their support. There are only a few days left at the end of the month. If there are any fresh flowers left, please send them to Xiaoyu as thanks. Chapter 306. I'm here to ask for your help. It's not an ordinary matter and might make things difficult for you. After a bear hug, Du Xiaofu did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Mu Zhenghao looked at Du Xiaofu and smiled. "Don't worry, there are many things I can help you with in Dark City. Just based on the fact that you saved my life in the dark forest, as long as it's something I can do, I will not refuse. Is it convenient to talk here?" Du Xiaofu looked around and asked. Mu Zhenghao looked at the expression on Du Xiaofu's face, and his expression turned serious. He then said, "Let's talk in my courtyard. You happen to be staying at my place as well. Once we're in Dark City, you must let me do my best as a host." A moment later, in a small hall in a secluded courtyard, the three of them sat down. Under Mu Zhenghao's puzzled gaze, Du Xiaoyao quietly leaned against Du Xiaofu's side. "You can talk without worry now. I've already instructed that no one will come here." Mu Zhenghao said to Du Xiaofu, "Is the Mu clan's trading company going to auction the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine tomorrow?" Du Xiaofu did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. "That's right. Are you interested in it as well?" Mu Zhenghao smiled and said, "If you are interested, I can arrange for you to go to the auction tomorrow. Just leave everything to me." "Of course I'm interested. Furthermore, I must retrieve the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine." Du Xiaofu said with a bitter smile on his face, "Truth be told, I'm a student of Tianwu Academy. I believe that you should be able to understand why I'm saying this. You are also a student of Tianwu Academy?" Mu Zhenghao seemed surprised, but his expression did not change. "That's right." Du Xiaofu then told Mu Zhenghao everything that he could, including the matter of the ghost claw. After learning of this, Mu Zhenghao was astonished. However, he did not show any signs of surprise. Instead, his expression became much calmer. Looking at Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan, who was wearing a red veil and wearing a cloak, he revealed a bitter smile and a little astonishment. He said, "If that's the case, the rumored Tianwu Academy students involved in the battle at the Four Seas in last night were you too?" "I'm one of them. The others are my senior sister and senior brother." Du Xiaofu nodded. The whole city probably knew about this. As the young fort master of the Mu clan fort, he probably knew more than the average person. Sure enough, Mu Zhenghao was no longer surprised. Instead, he asked curiously, "Then who is the mysterious force that is dealing with you?" The Mu clan fort had been investigating the mysterious faction as well. In fact, they were more concerned about it than Tianwu Academy. It's related to the Ghost Claw. It's said that they might be from a force called the Dark Nether Sect. Du Xiaofu remembered that the mysterious black-robed young man, Yi Piaoling, had mentioned that the masked experts were most likely from a force called the Dark Nether Sect. They were not from the Stone Dragon Empire. Dark Nether Sect. Hearing this, Mu Zhenghao's expression suddenly turned serious. He seemed to have heard of the Dark Nether Sect as well. His expression was calm, but he looked at Du Xiaofu seriously and said, "Little brother, I think I already know why you are here. You are a student of Tianwu Academy, and you are here for the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine. You must have two objectives: to take back the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, and capture the ghost claw, right?" "That's right." Gu Xinyan spoke to Mu Zhenghao for the first time. Mu Zhenghao looked at Gu Xinyan. He could faintly see that under the red veil there was a beautiful face. He said, "I already have a rough idea of why you are here. However, I don't know if you know how the Mu family business was able to establish itself in Dark City. Therefore, I feel that I should tell you." Mu Zhenghao paused for a moment. His gaze landed on Du Xiaofu, and he said, "The Mu clan fort is able to become one of the 4 major forces in the Dark Forest, and the Mu clan firm is able to become one of the top firms in Dark City. In a special place like Dark City, other than relying on strength, they also rely on integrity and rules. As long as someone puts something up for auction in the Mu clan firm, we will not care about who the person is or where the item came from. We will only auction it well and collect the commission. During this process, we will also be responsible for protecting the item until the auction ends. This is not only the rule of the Mu clan firm, but also the rule of the entire Dark City. If you want to bid for the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, I can do my best to help. However, it is indeed difficult for me to help with other things. If I give you the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, the Mu clan firm and the entire Mu clan fort will no longer be able to establish themselves in Dark City. Moreover, even if I want to help, I am afraid that many elders and my father will not agree." As soon as he finished speaking, Mu Zhenghao looked at Du Xiaofu with a bitter and apologetic smile. He said, "Little brother, logically speaking, I cannot refuse your request. However, this is really not something that I can help with." Du Xiaofu naturally understood what Mu Zhenghao had said. As one of the 4 major forces in Dark City, it was impossible for the Mu clan fort to hand over the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, and Ghost Claw to him when he went to the Mu clan firm. Du Xiaofu knew that the Mu clan fort did not owe him anything. If it were someone else, the Mu clan fort would not have been so courteous. As for saving Mu Zhenghao in the Dark Forest, to Du Xiaofu, it was purely because he wanted to take the opportunity to deal with the Black Fiend sect. Back then, it was an unintentional action. This time, Du Xiaofu came to the Mu clan fort with the intention of trying his luck and hoping to get some help. He did not come here to threaten them. This was not Du Xiaofu's style and temperament. "I understand. I have put you in a difficult position." Du Xiaofu nodded and took a deep breath. With a bitter smile, he looked at Mu Zhenghao and said, "However, I still hope that you can help me or Tianwu Academy. Of course, I will not force you. If you help me, I will keep it in mind. If you don't help me, I can understand. It is also your duty." "I am afraid that I will not be able to help you," Mu Zhenghao said with a bitter smile. "If my guess is correct, there will be a strong person in the Mu clan fort guarding the Mu clan trading company during this period. It will most likely be the fort master of the Mu clan fort, who is your father, Fort Master Mu. If you can let us meet him, it will be fine," Du Xiaofu said to Mu Zhenghao after pondering for a while. Mu Zhenghao was silent for a while. He looked at Du Xiaofu, then at Gu Xinyan, and finally at Du Xiaofu. He was slightly surprised and asked, "How do you know that my father is in the trading company?" The mysterious spirit vine has attracted a lot of attention. There are many people who want the mysterious spirit vine. I am afraid that not only Fort Master Mu, but more than half of the strong people in the Mu clan fort will be in the trading company, Du Xiaofu said with a smile. Mu Zhenghao's eyes flickered slightly. He said to Du Xiaofu, "Wait for me here. I will talk to my father. I will try my best to help, but I cannot guarantee the outcome." "No matter what the outcome is, I will still be grateful," Du Xiaofu said. "You are welcome." Mu Zhenghao smiled bitterly. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, I still don't know your name. I have to tell my father, who wants to meet him. Du Xiaofu smiled and said, Du Xiaofu. Mu Zhenghao nodded. His eyes changed again, and he left the courtyard. If you meet the fort master of the Mu clan fort, are you confident that you can get the Mu clan fort to help? We don't seem to have anything, Gu Xinyan said to Du Xiaofu as she watched Mu Zhenghao's back disappear. If I don't try, how would I know if there is a chance? Besides, I have no other choice now, Du Xiaofu said. You are still on the Academy's wanted list. You killed the seniors, arrested the law enforcement team, stole the spiritual herbs, and destroyed the herb farm. Why are you doing this for the Academy now? Gu Xinyan's face was covered by a red veil. She was puzzled. After 2 days of contact, she seemed to feel that the young man in front of her was different from the rumored ferocious young man. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly and said with a hint of bitterness, The elders of the Academy want me to take back the mysterious spirit vine and capture Ghost Claw. Then, I will write off everything that happened in the past. So I have no other choice. Is this reason enough? This reason is indeed enough. Gu Xinyan's beautiful eyes were stunned. Then she smiled faintly and said, Those elders really know how to order you around, but it also proves that they have good taste. In the quiet study, a few figures stood respectfully. Mu Zhenghao was among them. A burly man in his 40s sat upright, his appearance somewhat similar to Mu Zhenghao's. Although he wasn't particularly handsome, he had a heroic air about him. He had a well-built body, and his eyes shone brightly, exuding a dignified aura. This burly man was the current fort master of the Mu clan fort, Mu Mingqing. He was one of the top powerhouses in the entire Dark Forest. He had led the Mu clan fort to roam in the Dark Forest for decades and brought the Mu clan fort to its current status and power. Controlling a force and becoming an overlord wasn't something that could be done with absolute strength. In addition to absolute strength, extraordinary courage and strategy were indispensable. The Dark Nether Sect. Why are they in the Dark City? Mu Mingqing murmured. There was a hint of doubt between his eyebrows. He then looked at Mu Zhenghao and said, Zhenghao, the young man you mentioned, is called Du Xiaofu. Is he the young man who saved you in the Dark Forest? That's right. I think Father must have heard of him, Mu Zhenghao said. Chapter 307. Du Xiaofu. Mu Mingqing's eyes flickered slightly when he heard this. He raised his head slightly and said, I heard that there's a right-in student in Tianwu Academy who defeated the top 10 freshmen in his batch, killed 2 seniors, crippled 3 seniors, resisted arrest, and stole Tianwu Academy's green bamboo spirit fruit. Recently, he set a record in the Tianwu Talisman stage and even ranked 2nd in the combat realm. I heard that the young man's name is Du Xiaofu. I think it must be him, Mu Zhenghao said as he looked at his father. Mu Mingqing smiled faintly as he looked at Mu Zhenghao and said, I didn't expect Tianwu Academy to look for us. The Dark Nether Sect is also involved in this matter. Tianwu Academy doesn't have much interaction with us. Since Ghost Claw placed the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine in our Mu clan fort, I'm sure you know what will happen to the Mu clan's trading company and Mu clan fort in the Dark Forest in the future if anything happens. I understand. Mu Zhenghao nodded. You understand, but you still came to me. Mu Mingqing asked Mu Zhenghao. He saved you once, which means that you've helped him. Even if you're his friend, you've done what you should do as a friend. However, as the young fort master of the Mu clan fort, you also have to do what you should do. Do you think we can help? Mu Zhenghao pondered for a while before looking at his father and saying seriously, From my point of view, I still think that if I can help, I'll definitely help. Mu Mingqing said, The Dark City has been peaceful for many years, but there are many undercurrents. Now that an external force has suddenly joined, the situation will change. Do you understand the change? I understand. Father, haven't you been worried all this time? Mu Zhenghao hesitated for a moment, and then he took a deep breath and said, Ghost Claw intentionally put the profound spirit heaven-span vine up for auction in my Mu Clan trading company. Obviously, he intentionally attracted the people from Sky Martial Academy. If those mysterious people are really from the Dark Nether sect, then it's very likely that they were attracted by Ghost Claw. The mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine was placed in the Mu Clan's trading house, and even the Mu Clan's trading house was part of the scheme. Perhaps this time, the Dark City, which has been peaceful for a long time, will start to become turbulent because of the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine. My Mu Clan fort will bear the brunt of it. I wouldn't dare to plot against you. Ghost Claw just wants to make use of the Mu Clan fort. Mu Mingqing looked at Mu Zhenghao and said, You are my son and also the young master of the Mu Clan fort. All the uncles in the Mu Clan fort have always admired you, so I will ask you again about this matter. As the young fort master of the Mu Clan fort, this matter is of great importance. I can't make the decision. Moreover, I can't represent the Mu Clan fort. The only one who can represent the Mu Clan fort is you, Father. Mu Zhenghao said solemnly. However, personally, I hope that Father can help him. The fact that he came to me proves that he trusts me. In the dark forest, he saved me but did not ask for anything in return. I also believe in his character. With his talent, he is destined to achieve great things in the future. If I help him this time, I will be his friend in the future. If I and the Mu Clan fort are in trouble in the future, I will ask him 10 times and he will definitely not reject me. I'm willing to bet on this. Mu Mingqing did not speak. He only looked at Mu Zhenghao. After a long time, he looked at the other middle-aged men and a few burly young men in the study and said, Do any of you have anything to say? The few of them looked normal, as if they had nothing to say. Big brother, I believe in Zhenghao and you. Only a burly man in his 40s walked out. He was dressed in a short robe and had a strong build. He looked at Mu Mingqing and Mu Zhenghao and said, However, I feel that there is no reason for us to place our bet on Tianwu Academy. Tianwu Academy is no longer what it used to be. This time they were attacked without any scruples and were unable to retaliate. Moreover, we are placing our bet on a young man. Even if he is extraordinary, he is still just a brat who is still wet behind the ears. Mu Zhenghao looked at the burly man and asked, Fifth uncle, what do you mean? The burly man smiled at Mu Zhenghao and said with a grin, It's simple. Isn't that brat extraordinary? Doesn't he want to see Big Brother? Outside the courtyard is the drill ground where Big Brother usually cultivates. I will wait for him there. If he can defeat me, I will let him in. As for whether Big Brother agrees to help him in the end, I don't care. However, if he can't even defeat me, he doesn't need to see Big Brother. This. Mu Zhenghao's face turned serious. He knew how powerful his fifth uncle was. Zhenghao, let's do it this way. If he wants to see me, it's not too much to ask for your fifth uncle's permission first. Once your fifth uncle agrees, all the uncles in the Mu family fort will agree. Mu Mingqing nodded at Mu Zhenghao. In a small hall in the secluded courtyard, Du Xiaofu, Gu Xinyan, and Du Xiaoyao were seated and waiting for Mu Zhenghao. I'm so bored. Why don't you give me some spiritual herbs to eat? Suddenly, Du Xiaoyao turned around and looked at Du Xiaofu with her pale golden eyes. She looked very pitiful. Du Xiaofu knew that behind Du Xiaoyao's pitiful look, there was an absolute cruelty. However, he still took out a bunch of spiritual herbs from his Qingquan bag and handed them to Du Xiaoyao. There were quite a lot of them. Du Xiaoyao did not say that Du Xiaofu was stingy this time. She took the spiritual herbs and stuffed them into her mouth one by one. She ate the spiritual herbs that were glowing, fragrant, and fluctuating with energy as if they were snacks. She slowly chewed them raw. Gu Xinyan watched from the side. Under the red veil, her beautiful eyes were filled with shock. Du Xiaofu was neither fast nor slow. His expression was indifferent. Under the red veil, Gu Xinyan seemed to be even more nervous than Du Xiaofu. In the end, Gu Xinyan could not help but look at Du Xiaofu. She asked, Aren't you anxious? If the fort master of the Mu family fort does not want to see you, we don't seem to have any other choice. Mu Zhenghao is back. Du Xiaofu straightened his body. His expression did not change much. Only he knew that it would be strange if he was not nervous. However, in front of a woman, it was better to pretend to be calm. As soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, Mu Zhenghao appeared in the small hall. He looked at Du Xiaofu and spread his hands. He did not beat around the bush and said helplessly, "I have good news and bad news. The good news is that my father is willing to see you. However, there is also bad news. My fifth uncle is guarding outside my father's door. If you want to go in, you have to defeat my fifth uncle." Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan looked at each other. Then, Du Xiaofu stood up and looked at Mu Zhenghao. He asked, "Young Fort Master, what is your fifth uncle's cultivation level? Just call me by my name. If you think highly of me, I should be a few years older than you. You can call me brother." Mu Zhenghao patted his chest and said, "Brother Zhenghao." Du Xiaofu nodded. "Okay, then I'll take advantage of you." Mu Zhenghao smiled, but then his expression turned serious. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "My fifth uncle's cultivation level is at the early stage of the martial lord realm. However, he has reached the late stage of the martial lord realm and is close to the peak. He has not found an opportunity to break through. It seems that he is the weakest among my father's sworn brothers. You can only see Fort Master Mu if you defeat him. Let me do it." Gu Xinyan stood up and covered her face with a red cloak. However, under the red cloak, her graceful curves could not be hidden. They were exquisite and alluring. Gu Xinyan did not know Du Xiaofu's true strength. However, she was worried that Du Xiaofu would be defeated by a martial lord who had just reached the peak of the martial lord realm. After all, as far as she knew, Du Xiaofu had not even set foot in the spiritual pulse realm. The Mu clan fort's intentions were clear. They were testing and rejecting him. In fact, there was more of a rejection than a test. He could only see the fort master if he defeated a martial lord. If he could not defeat the fort master, he could only leave. At that time, there would be nothing to say. Of course, Gu Xinyan knew that the Mu clan fort could not be blamed for this. From the perspective of the Mu clan fort, they were already being very polite. Hearing Gu Xinyan's words, Mu Zhenghao did not know the identity of the woman in the cloak. However, from her indifferent tone, it was not difficult to tell that the woman in red did not seem to take a martial lord who had just reached the peak of the martial lord realm seriously. Mu Zhenghao was suspicious, but he did not show it. He just shook his head and smiled bitterly. "I'm afraid that won't do. I think fifth uncle wants to spar with brother Xiaofu. Let me do it." Du Xiaofu looked sideways at Gu Xinyan and said. He then looked at Mu Zhenghao, and a smile appeared on his resolute face. "Brother Zhenghao, please lead the way. I also want to experience the unique skills of the Mu clan fort. Brother Xiaofu, you should be careful. My fifth uncle's fist is more powerful among my father's sworn brothers. Only my fifth uncle cultivates the power of the physical body. The strength of his body is comparable to a spiritual weapon." Mu Zhenghao reminded Du Xiaofu and then led the way. He led Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan out of the small hall. In the picturesque courtyard, there was a small square that was not too big. The small square was not small. Its diameter was dozens of feet wide. The square was covered with thick, strange rocks. There were various kinds of weapons placed around it. Sabers, spears, swords, halberds, spears, staffs, and chains. Du Xiaofu followed Mu Zhenghao through several corridors before arriving at the small square. Looking around, there were no less than 200 to 300 people around the small square. They were all quite young, and there were even quite a few youths among them. Standing in front of them were a few burly men and old men. A few martial lords. When Du Xiaofu's gaze landed on the few old men and the burly man, his eyes immediately moved. There were at least 3 marquis experts among them. They are indeed one of the 4 major forces in the dark forest. Du Xiaofu thought to himself, To be able to casually bring out a few martial lords, this kind of strength was not ordinary. Chapter 308. Brother Xiaofu, my fifth uncle is called Lu Linqiao. I don't know why there are so many people here, so please be careful. Mu Zhenghao whispered apologetically into Du Xiaofu's ear. Seeing so many people here, it was obvious that his fifth uncle wanted the young disciples of the Mu clan fort to come out and broaden their horizons. There was also the possibility that he wanted to embarrass Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu nodded and did not say anything else. His gaze passed through the crowd and landed on a courtyard in front of him. There was a rather obscure aura coming from there, and it was difficult to detect it. As Du Xiaofu arrived, the gazes of the people in the plaza all landed on Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan. Most of them were filled with curiosity. Brat Du Xiaofu, come on up. Let me see how capable the students of Tianwu Academy are. A burly man in his 40s walked out. He was dressed in a short robe and had a muscular build. His gaze had already landed on Du Xiaofu. Based on Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan, it was not difficult to figure out Du Xiaofu's identity. Without much hesitation, Du Xiaofu stepped forward under the gazes of the crowd. He raised his head slightly and looked at the burly man. This should be the fifth uncle Lu Linqiao that Mu Zhenghao had mentioned. His skin was yellow and towering, as if there was power erupting from his body, as expected of someone who cultivated the physical body. Those who cultivated the physical body could use their body as a spiritual weapon. Once they succeeded in cultivating their body, they would be extremely terrifying. Greetings, fifth Uncle Lu. Cupping his fists, Du Xiaofu greeted Lu Linqiao with a smile. Since he was Mu Zhenghao's fifth uncle, it was not a loss for him to address him as fifth uncle. You must be Du Xiaofu. How courteous. How about this? As long as you can tie with me, I'll let you in. When Lu Linqiao saw Du Xiaofu being so courteous and addressing him as fifth Uncle Lu, Lu Linqiao initially wanted to teach this brat from Tianwu Academy a lesson in front of the younger generation of the Mu Fort. However, as the saying goes, one does not slap a smiling face. Seeing how courteous this purple-robed young man was, he naturally could not bring himself to make things difficult for him. Hearing Lu Linqiao's words, Du Xiaofu smiled again and said calmly, "Thank you, fifth Uncle Lu." This kid called Du Xiaofu is indeed not simple. In front of the crowd from the Mu clan fort, an old man looked at Du Xiaofu with a flicker in his eyes. To be able to remain calm in front of Old Five, he is the most extraordinary young man I have ever seen. He is even stronger than Zheng Hao. A large man said, "Don't try to curry favor with him. Make your move. If you are not strong enough, I will not go easy on you." In the field, Lu Linqiao said to Du Xiaofu, in the entire dark forest, he was absolutely famous. Although his cultivation was not the strongest in the entire dark forest, his physique was well trained. Even the strong people in the dark forest were wary of him. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Linqiao took a big step forward and an aura began to surge from his body. He said, "Brat, don't blame me for bullying you. You make your move first. This is the drill ground that is paved with black steel rocks. Don't worry about it. Even I can't destroy this place. A guest will follow the host's wishes. I will do as you say." Du Xiaofu nodded, and the aura on his body suddenly fluctuated. As soon as he finished speaking, he waved his long sleeve and a faint golden qi fluctuation suddenly surged out. As soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, the aura on his body fluctuated. Everyone around could immediately feel that the whole space seemed to have solidified. The young man named Du Xiaofu was already extraordinary. This brat seems to be quite strong. Feeling Du Xiaofu's aura, Lu Linqiao's eyes moved slightly and he was quite surprised. Whether he is strong or weak, we will know after we try. Fort Master Mu, I will definitely meet you today. At the same time, a faint golden light surged within Du Xiaofu's clear eyes. The profound energy in his body surged, and he stomped his foot on the thick and strange rock floor. Golden profound energy gushed out from the soles of his feet, and his figure instantly pounced towards Lu Linchao. "Haha, you are quite arrogant at such a young age. I just don't know if you have the strength." Lu Linchao laughed, and the aura around his body suddenly swept out. A terrifying and vigorous aura fluctuated. Looking at Du Xiaofu's figure rushing over, he began to stretch out his hands. On his palms, there was a rune light surging. "You will know after you try." In a short moment, the sound of wind breaking was heard. Du Xiaofu's figure still appeared in front of Lu Linchao like lightning. At this moment, there seemed to be a faint rune on the surface of Du Xiaofu's body under the cover of his purple robe. The seal formed by his hands and the energy fluctuated, causing the surrounding space to fluctuate like boiling water. A palm print directly slammed towards Lu Linchao. "He seems to be quite strong, but it doesn't seem to be enough." Lu Linchao's eyes were shocked, but he immediately grinned. In the next moment, his strong and burly body directly rushed out like a ferocious beast. Boom! The burly body moved like lightning. Lu Linchao waved his hand and directly collided with the palm. "That brat is quite arrogant. So what if I let him suffer a little? Doesn't he know that I cultivate my physical body? In the entire dark forest, how many people dare to go against me?" As fast as lightning and as fast as lightning, the two of them instantly caused an uproar. A palm and a fist suddenly collided. Boom! The moment they collided, a low muffled sound immediately resounded. As the light from the runes burst forth, circles of visible ripples of energy spread out, causing the entire space to tremble. It was also at this instant that the golden light around Du Xiaofu's body blazed brightly, while his profound energy surged out explosively without holding back any longer. The imposing aura on his body instantly became fierce and shocking, and it was like a ferocious beast that had suddenly awakened from its slumber. "Stormy wave palm!" A thunderous sound suddenly rang out. Within Du Xiaofu's palm, waves of runic energy visible to the naked eye spread out. Waves of violent energy waves, like stormy waves, instantly collided with Lu Linchao. It was overbearing and fierce as it suddenly swept out. Stomp, stomp! Under the stormy waves of wind, Lu Linchao's strong body was immediately forced back. He took 7 consecutive steps back, and with each step, cracks faintly appeared on the hard stone floor. At this moment, Lu Linchao's gaze suddenly became shocked. His right hand quietly drooped down, and his 5 fingers faintly curved. At this moment, only Lu Linchao himself knew that his palm was currently numb and painful. It was as if his palm had collided with the hardest rock. Du Xiaofu's body only leaned back slightly and did not retreat a single step. Before entering the heavenly martial talisman realm, Du Xiaofu was already able to kill a Xianyun scarlet dragon that was comparable to a martial lord. And after coming out of the heavenly martial talisman realm, his comprehension had improved greatly and his strength had also increased. From Mu Jinghao's words, Du Xiaofu learned that Lu Linchao cultivated his physical body. It was very powerful and comparable to a spirit weapon. However, no matter how powerful his physical body was, it would be difficult to compare with the Xianyun scarlet dragon's body. Naturally, Du Xiaofu would not care too much. It's really a good physical body. Du Xiaofu was also quite surprised by the palm strike just now. Lu Linchao's physical body was indeed extremely powerful. In terms of physical body alone, he was definitely the strongest person that Du Xiaofu had encountered so far. Such a scene occurred. With one strike, Lu Linchao was forced to retreat. Everything around him calmed down. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the field, and all of them were dumbfounded. Many of the Mu clan fort's disciples had their jaws dropped. They were so shocked that they could not close them for a long time. At this moment, Gu Xinyan's beautiful eyes, which were covered by a red veil, were also moved. "I must have been careless. I must have been careless." His gaze was fixed on Du Xiaofu. After a short pause, Lu Linchao pounced. This time he took the initiative to attack. For Lu Linchao, he thought that he must have been careless just now. It was absolutely impossible that he would be forced to retreat so pathetically by a young man. His figure was like lightning, moving like thunder. Like an afterimage, Lu Linchao instantly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu with a terrifying aura. Not only is his physical body strong, but his speed is also fast. Du Xiaofu looked at Lu Linchao, who was rushing toward him. Lu Linchao's figure rapidly enlarged in his pupils. His speed was also extremely terrifying. It was so fast that it was difficult for Du Xiaofu to detect it with his current mind power. Boom! In a short moment, Lu Linchao appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. Accompanying him was a fist print wrapped in runes. Lu Linchao's martial marquis realm aura erupted at this moment without holding back. Before his fist, he wanted to blast the space apart. The surroundings were distorted. His aura was as oppressive as a wild beast, as if it could suppress everything and blast the space apart. Wave surfing free steps. Du Xiaofu was not afraid of Lu Linchao's physical body, but he did not have to choose to take it head-on. After all, he was in the Pulse realm, and Lu Linchao was in the Martial Marquis realm. He activated the wave-surfing free steps, and his figure was like a god. His feet slanted, and suddenly, at an incredible angle, his body leaned back in a strange arc. Bang! Lu Linchao's fist exploded in the air before Du Xiaofu's body leaned. The fist shattered the air, and a low, muffled sound was heard. However, Du Xiaofu's figure disappeared before the fist. Lu Linchao's martial marquis realm cultivation was not just for show. His fist changed into a claw print. Suddenly, the rune light flashed, as if it was going to tear the space apart, and directly locked onto Du Xiaofu's throat. The claw print swept over, and it rapidly enlarged in Du Xiaofu's slanted eyes. However, just as the claw print was about to reach his throat, Du Xiaofu stood on the center of gravity. His qi surged, and his body once again drew a strange arc, as if drawing a beautiful arc pattern around him, and just happened to avoid Lu Linchao's claw. Boy, you are quite fast. Let's see how many moves you can dodge. Lu Linchao could not stand it anymore. Clenching his claw print, he once again formed a fist and chased after Du Xiaofu. Boom! A fist print that was about to explode the space appeared in front of Du Xiaofu again. A series of changes and attacks, fast, accurate, and fierce, were enough to prove Lu Linchao's strength. As a martial marquis realm cultivator, even in the whole continent, he could be regarded as one of the strongest. Then I won't dodge. Du Xiaofu did not dodge again. Just as the fist was in front of him, there was a slight smile at the corner of his mouth. Today's update is finished. Brothers, go to bed early after reading. Chapter 309. Bang! A low, muffled sound suddenly rang out from Du Xiaofu's chest. The punch shattered the faint, golden defensive halo around Du Xiaofu's body and landed on Du Xiaofu's chest. Du Xiaofu had not resisted Lu Linchao's first punch at the start because Lu Linchao had taken advantage of the situation to launch his first punch. Now, Lu Linchao's punch had been launched in a panic. It was the same punch, but its power was much weaker. And just as Lu Linchao's punch was about to land, Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly flashed with a golden light. He looked around arrogantly, and a domineering and terrifying aura erupted like a torrent. The golden talisman patterns on the surface of his body surged, as if a golden-winged rock had spread its wings. In that instant, Du Xiaofu's hand was like a cattail leaf fan. As the faint golden talisman patterns flickered and coalesced, he slapped out viciously at Lu Linchao. Wang! Dense layers of golden talisman patterns shook the air, forming an arc-shaped golden dent in space. It was like the golden wings of a golden-winged rock. Suddenly, like thunder, it slammed viciously into Lu Linchao's chest with a force that could crush all things. Du Xiaofu's hand slapped down on Lu Linchao's body. In that instant, the golden talisman patterns glowed brightly, as if suppressing everything. The air hummed with the sound of wind and thunder. A punch for a palm. Du Xiaofu chose to fight directly. His cultivation level could not compare to that of a martial lord. But in terms of physical strength, Du Xiaofu was not afraid at all. Bang! A terrifying aura was released, and a storm swept through the air above the square. Crackle! Then, under everyone's shocked gazes, everything was like a hot knife through butter. Lu Linchao's body was instantly sent flying, like a bird with broken wings. Pucci! Lu Linchao finally fell to the ground, causing the ground to crack. His body brushed against the ground for several dozen meters before he finally stabilized himself. Deng deng! Du Xiaofu's body was also retreating. He staggered backward for 7 steps. With every step he took back, the ground of the drill ground that Lu Linchao had boasted was covered with hard black steel rocks that were hard to destroy, cracked under Du Xiaofu's feet. Humph! Du Xiaofu took the last step to stabilize his body. He let out a faint groan from his throat, as if he had been greatly affected. Lu Linchao's punch, coupled with the fact that he was a cultivator of the physical body, was absolutely powerful. Even if the protective profound qi had resisted a lot of the force, the impact was still very terrifying. However, Du Xiaofu's current situation was much better than Lu Linchao's. Victory and defeat were decided immediately. Hoo-hoo! Around the drill ground, all the disciples of the Mu clan fort narrowed their eyes. That purple-robed young man was at most 16 or 17 years old, but his strength was so terrifying that even Elder Lu, who was at the martial lord realm, was severely injured in 2 moves. Unbelievable. Du Xiaofu's aura is only at the complete pulsation realm, but his strength is so terrifying. An old man was so shocked that he could not recover from his shock. His physical body is too terrifying. It's much stronger than Old Five's physical body. It's insane, a burly man exclaimed. If Old Five's physical body is comparable to the top-notch demonic beasts on the Earth Beast ranking, then Du Xiaofu's physical body is comparable to the top-notch demonic beasts on the Heavenly Beast ranking. If they were at the same cultivation level, Old Five wouldn't even be able to resist, another burly man exclaimed in shock. Are all the students of Tianwu Academy so terrifying? I haven't heard of Tianwu Academy's students being so terrifying in the past. Many disciples of the Mu clan fort were shocked. He's too powerful. It hasn't been long, and he's already so terrifying. At this moment, Mu Zhenghao's face was filled with shock and astonishment. He still remembered how terrifying Du Xiaofu was back in the dark forest. However, compared to now, the difference was huge. Gu Xinyan's face was covered by a red veil, so no one could see the change in her expression. However, her delicate body trembled at that moment. Lu Linchao stood up as dark red blood seeped out of his mouth. He looked at Du Xiaofu in front of him and was deeply shocked. If it was before, Lu Linchao would never have believed that a young man at the complete pulsation realm could defeat him. Moreover, he had defeated him in a head-on manner. To him, this was the most shocking and shocking blow. 5th brother let him in. A hearty voice came from the courtyard in front of him. The voice wasn't loud, but it reverberated around the drill ground and fell clearly on the drill ground. Kid, go in! Lu Linchao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth helplessly as he looked at Du Xiaofu in shock. 5th Uncle Lu, you haven't lost yet. Du Xiaofu smiled. As a martial marquis realm expert, although he had just suffered a great loss, Du Xiaofu knew that Lu Linchao had not lost the ability to fight again. As a martial marquis realm expert, he would not be defeated so easily. If they continued to fight, Du Xiaofu knew that Lu Linchao would not necessarily be defeated. According to Du Xiaofu's knowledge, a martial marquis realm expert was far more powerful than a pulse spirit realm expert. In particular, the unique means and representatives of the martial marquis realm were at a level that a pulse spirit realm expert could not contend with. Kid, do you still want to fight? I've asked you to go in, so go in. Be careful that I don't change my mind. Lu Linchao rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu. He could not wait to teach this purple-robed kid a lesson. Didn't he know that he had been humiliated in front of the younger generation of the Mu clan fort? Even if they fought again, Lu Linchao was not confident that he would win at this time. Although he still had the ability to fight again, he still had a trump card. However, Lu Linchao could also feel that the purple-robed kid named Du Xiaofu had not used his strongest trump card. When the time came, it was still unknown who would win and who would lose. At this time, Du Xiaofu still wanted to fight. He must be deliberately making things difficult for Lu Linchao to take revenge for making things difficult for him. Of course, Lu Linchao did not know that he was overthinking. Du Xiaofu really did not have the intention to take revenge. Thank you very much, fifth Uncle Lu. Du Xiaofu nodded and then nodded to Gu Xinyan, indicating that they should go to see the fort master of the Mu clan fort together. The rest of you don't have to come in. Kid, you can come in alone. The rest of you can wait outside. Just as Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan were about to enter the courtyard together, the hearty voice was heard again. You go in, I'll wait for you outside. Gu Xinyan heard and said softly to Du Xiaofu. At this time, Du Xiaoyao also landed on her shoulder. Du Xiaofu nodded slightly and then entered the courtyard under the watchful eyes of the crowd. The surrounding disciples of the Mu clan fort were still in shock. After that, many people gathered around Lu Linchao. Fifth uncle, are you okay? Mu Zhenghao came in front of Lu Linchao and could only smile bitterly at this time. His fifth uncle was severely injured in just 2 moves. This was something that he did not expect at all. I'm fine. That kid is really crazy. He's stronger than you, Lu Linchao said bluntly, speaking the truth. Of course, I can't compare to him. Mu Zhenghao did not care. He knew that he was indeed no match for the fierce, purple-robed youth. After entering the courtyard, Du Xiaofu went into the study based on his intuition. Then he saw a burly man. He was not too handsome, but he had a heroic aura. He had the aura of a superior. There was no fluctuation of aura on his body, but it made people's hearts tremble for no reason. Greetings, Fort Master Mu. Du Xiaofu cupped his fist and bowed. Naturally, there was only the fort master of the Mu clan fort. From his appearance, one could tell that he was related to Mu Zhenghao. Mu Zhenghao had already stood up from his sitting position and slowly left the desk in front of him. He took a few steps to Du Xiaofu's side and stood with his hands behind his back. For no reason, Du Xiaofu felt a great pressure. This kind of pressure seemed to exist silently and was difficult to resist. It made people's hearts tremble for no reason. I already know who you are. Since you are Zhenghao's friend, you can call me uncle from now on, Mu Mingqing said. When Du Xiaofu heard this, he was slightly stunned. Then he opened his mouth and said, Greetings, Uncle Mu. Mu Mingqing continued to look at Du Xiaofu and asked, Since you have already called me Uncle Mu, I will not beat around the bush with you. I know the reason why you are here. Tell me, why does the Mu clan fort want to help you? What kind of reward can you give me? I can't give the Mu clan fort any reward for the time being. Indeed, the Mu clan fort does not have to help me. Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked straight at Mu Mingqing. Under the invisible pressure, he was neither servile nor overbearing. With a faint sense of pride, he said, However, if the Mu clan fort helps Tianwu Academy today, Tianwu Academy will owe the Mu clan fort a favor. I believe Fort Master Mu will weigh the pros and cons. A favor is the most worthless thing in the Dark City. Mu Mingqing smiled. He looked straight at Du Xiaofu and said, You don't seem to be able to convince me. You are wrong. Even though a favor is worthless in the Dark City, a favor from Tianwu Academy is. Everyone in the Empire would like to have Tianwu Academy owe them a favor, Du Xiaofu said as he looked at Mu Zhenghao. What do you mean by that? Mu Zhenghao asked with interest, as if he was intrigued. Tianwu Academy has existed for so many years, and countless students have graduated from Tianwu Academy. Over the years, they have been scattered all over the world. Now that someone has stepped on Tianwu Academy's head, I believe there will be many people paying attention to this matter. They might be restricted by their status, or they might be observing this situation quietly. Therefore, it is inconvenient for them to intervene. However, if the Mu Clan fort can help Tianwu Academy at this moment, I believe many people will remember the Mu Clan fort. Perhaps one day, when the Mu Clan fort needs help, these people will be able to help. Chapter 310. Translator. H2DH2. Mr. Du Xiaofu paused for a moment, looked at Mu Mingqing and continued, "This is only one of the reasons. Tianwu Academy must also owe the Mu Clan fort a huge favor. I believe that the Dark Forest is filled with turbulent undercurrents and unpredictable changes. Although the Tianwu Academy will not interfere in the matters of the Dark Forest, if the Mu Clan fort needs to stay in the Tianwu Academy for a period of time, I believe that the Tianwu Academy will not reject the favor owed to them. I believe that this is enough. These are indeed tempting, and I am tempted by them. To be able to make Tianwu Academy owe you a favor. Its value is definitely not below that of the profound spirit heaven-span vine. You have a sharp tongue, and you're not simple at all." Mu Mingqing looked at Du Xiaofu and smiled. However, he shook his head and said, "I have to say that if the Mu Clan fort was not located in the Dark City, I would definitely be moved by your words." Mu Mingqing paused for a moment, then looked at Du Xiaogang and said, "However, you still do not understand the Dark City well enough. The Dark City is very realistic. Intangible things like human relationships pale in comparison to the Dark City. After witnessing the deceit and cruelty of the Dark Forest, no one will believe in intangible things like human relationships. Tangible benefits are the most important. I will give you one last chance. See if you can move me." Outside the courtyard, Gu Xinyan had been waiting quietly. She stood there quietly. Many Mu Clan fort disciples could not help but steal glances at the graceful curve of her face under the red veil. An entire hour later, Du Xiaofu's figure finally appeared at the entrance under the gazes of many people. When Du Xiaofu walked to Gu Xinyan's side, Gu Xinyan asked, "What's the result?" Du Xiaofu nodded at Gu Xinyan and said softly, "I think we should prepare for the auction tomorrow. Let's go back first." Inside the study, Mu Mingqing stood by the window and watched the purple-robed figure leave. His eyes flickered, and he seemed to have thought of something. A faint smile appeared on his face as he murmured, "Time really flies. Big brother, did you promise that kid? Is our Mu Clan fort really going to get involved in this mess?" A few burly men and elders walked over, including Lu Linchao. Their gazes all fell on Mu Mingqing. Mu Mingqing looked at the crowd and finally looked at Lu Linchao. "Fifth brother, didn't you notice anything when you fought with that kid?" As soon as he finished speaking, Mu Mingqing stretched out his hands from behind his back, and then a series of profound hand seals began to form in his hands. Waves of aura suddenly began to silently bloom. As Mu Mingqing's hand seal slowly took shape, Lu Linchao and the others' expressions changed drastically. So this kid, Lu Linchao, was the first to react. Then he straightened his burly figure and said, "It seems that the Mu Clan fort has no choice but to intervene this time." "That's right. We have no choice but to intervene." The old man and the burly man nodded in agreement. Time flew by, and it was night time again. Dark City was not dark at all. It was brightly lit, as if it was daytime. There were still people talking about the night when the 4 seas in was razed to the ground. But for the people of the Dark City, it was almost forgotten. For the Dark City, aside from the 4 major forces, it was unknown how many forces were destroyed every day and how many new forces would emerge every day. Not many people would remember it. They were already numb to it. All of this was just a topic for the people of the Dark City to talk about during their leisure time. Right now, the hottest topic in Dark City was the auction that would be held in the Mu Clan Trading Company tomorrow. It was rumored that the students of Tianwu Academy were involved in the battle at the 4 seas a few days ago, and the other group of experts were related to the ghost claw. This made people wonder if there would be a big show at the auction in the Mu Clan store tomorrow. Recently, there were many external forces that entered Dark City, and most of them were here for the mysterious spirit vine. Who would be the one to obtain the mysterious spirit vine in the end? The night was as dark as ink, and there were no stars or moon. Occasionally, there would be flashes of light in the sky, as if it was going to rain tomorrow. In a secluded courtyard, a 25 or 26-year-old silver-haired man stood by the window. His extremely glossy long silver hair flowed down like a waterfall. It was loosely tied up with a single colored ribbon. His eyes were currently looking at the ink-black night sky. The sky was constantly flickering with light as he softly said, "After tomorrow, after killing a few people, everything will no longer have anything to do with us." Behind the silver-haired man, a gray-robed man stood respectfully. The wide hat on the back of the gray-robed man covered his entire face, and only his eyes could be seen. In the dark night, his eyes were emitting a cold light. He looked at the silver-haired man and said in a low voice, "Everything is under our control. Should we close the net now? Everything can be settled as soon as possible. It's not the time yet. Let's settle it tomorrow." The silver-haired man's voice had a fleeting feeling to it. His eyes seemed to push people 1,000 miles away, causing people to involuntarily feel a chill in their hearts. He then continued, "It's best to be careful. After all, the Dark City still has a pavilion and a castle." "Yes." The gray-robed man nodded and replied respectfully. It was a vast complex of buildings and huge pavilions. They had an antique feel to them, but there were traces of evil aura in the air. "Tomorrow, we must get the mysterious spirit vine." In the hall, a middle-aged man in a brown robe said to a black-robed young man, "Don't worry, father. I will definitely get the mysterious spirit vine. No one can compete with us." The black-robed young man replied as if he was confident. Then he said softly, "Whoever dares to stand in the way of our black-killing sect is courting death." Night covered the sky, and the curtain of night covered Dark City. For the ordinary people in Dark City, they did not feel much. However, for the various forces, tonight was destined to be a sleepless night. When the first ray of light spread out from the eastern horizon, many places in Dark City seemed to have suddenly awakened. Many people began to walk out, and all of them were looking at the Mu Family Trading Company. Today's auction of the Mu Family Trading Company was not simple. It was said that other than the mysterious spirit vine, which had not been auctioned yet, many other treasures would be auctioned in this auction. It was also said that this was definitely the rarest auction in the history of the Mu Family Trading Company, and many treasures would appear. Therefore, this kind of attraction was a huge temptation for any cultivator. In the room, the morning light slowly spread out outside the window, leaving mottled traces in the room. On the bed, a purple-robed young man, who appeared to be 16 or 17 years old, was already a young man. He had a resolute face, and a determination that was rarely seen in people of the same age. As the sky gradually brightened, the faint golden circle of light around the purple-robed young man's body began to slowly enter his body. The eyelashes on his eyes faintly trembled a few times, and then he opened his eyes. The faint golden light in his eyes flickered and slowly disappeared, becoming clear and bright. Huff! When he spat out a mouthful of turbid air, a domineering and fierce aura suddenly spread out from the purple-robed young man's body, like a real rock spreading its wings, causing the entire room to tremble. "I'm almost going to break through again. I can't break through yet. I'll continue to suppress it and stabilize my foundation. I'll be as firm as a rock." The purple-robed young man softly muttered to himself. This purple-robed young man was naturally Du Xiaofu. After a night of breathing, he was almost about to break through again. However, Du Xiaofu once again forcefully resisted the temptation of breaking through, and with great difficulty he once again suppressed it. Du Xiaofu had not allowed himself to break through. He continuously suppressed it, and it was better for his foundation to be as firm as possible. Breaking through was not something that could be done in a short period of time. Feeling the abundant, profound energy within his body, a slight smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's face. He took out the small pagoda from his bosom and lightly stroked it. He didn't know when his big brother Jinqingchen would come out of closed-door training, nor did he know when his big brother Jinqingchen would be able to return to his peak. After a short while, Du Xiaofu put away the small pagoda, and only then did he jump off the bed. Then he put on a cloak that covered his face from yesterday, pushed open the door, and walked out. In the small hall, Gu Xinyan seemed to have been waiting for a long time, while Du Xiaoyao sat quietly to the side. In addition, Mu Zhenghao was also waiting in the small hall. When he saw Du Xiaofu, he said, "Brother Xiaofu, everything has been arranged. Someone will bring you to the VIP room." "Thank you, Brother Zhenghao." Du Xiaofu nodded his head to express his thanks. "It's nothing. I'm a little busy today, so I can't accompany you. I'll take my leave first. See you later." After Mu Zhenghao said his goodbye as he hurriedly left. Today's auction of the Mu Family Trading Company was extraordinary. As the young fort master of the Mu family fort, he naturally had no free time. Looking at Mu Zhenghao's back as he left, Gu Xinyan was still wearing the red veil that covered her face. She looked sideways at Du Xiaofu through the red veil and said, "You still haven't told me what you talked about with the Mu family fort master yesterday. Is the Mu family fort really going to help us?" Du Xiaofu's expression changed slightly, and then he said softly, "I don't know what to say. Let's go to the auction first. We'll know what will happen today then." "All right." Gu Xinyan did not ask any more questions, because she trusted the young man in front of her. Chapter 311. It started to drizzle in the dark city today, but it did not affect the liveliness in front of the Mu family's trading house. Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan had stayed in the courtyard behind the Mu family's trading house last night. When they walked out of the door, there was a clever young man waiting to lead the way. It was the same clever young man they had seen in the trading house yesterday. The auction would be held in the Mu Family Trading Company. The Mu Family Trading Company occupied half the street, so there was no need for them to worry about not having enough space. However, when Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan arrived at the auction with the quick-witted young man, they couldn't help but feel shocked when they saw the densely packed crowd in the streets and alleys. They had underestimated the popularity of the Mu family's auction. On the densely packed streets, the front of the auction venue was so crowded that not even a drop of water could trickle through. However, under the guidance of the quick-witted young man, Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan once again headed for the VIP room. After passing through a VIP passageway that was guarded by many Mu fort guards, they easily arrived at the auction venue. The entire auction hall was circular in shape, with a huge dome covering the top. The enormous building area was astonishing. It had a total of 3 floors and could accommodate more than 10,000 people. Not a single stone pillar could be seen inside, making it seem even more imposing. As expected of the Mu clan fort, upon entering the auction house, Du Xiaofu even saw a few of the Mu clan fort's elders that he had seen at the drill ground yesterday. A few of the elders were casually standing quietly in the auction house. An invisible aura that emanated from their bodies was enough to make people feel oppressed. At this moment, there were still many figures walking out from the VIP passageway. All of them were led by the disciples of the Mu fort. This caused Du Xiaofu to involuntarily turn his head to take a few more glances. Those who could enter the VIP passageway were naturally not ordinary people. These people were the majority of the true buyers in today's auction. "Sirs, the VIP rooms are on the 3rd floor. There are a total of 99 rooms. It's not easy to enter the VIP rooms of the Mu Family Trading Company," the quick-witted young man introduced as he led Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan to the 3rd floor of the auction house. They entered one of the best VIP rooms in the auction house. The VIP room wasn't big. It was only a few feet in size, but the decorations were extremely elegant and luxurious. Sitting in the private room, one could overlook the entire auction hall below. Immediately, one could feel a different feeling, exuding a noble aura. One could also clearly see the circular auction stage in the middle of the auction hall. One could clearly see the items being auctioned. The window in front of the VIP room was hung with a special downward slanted Venetian blind, allowing one to have a clear view of the entire auction hall. However, no one would be able to spy on the situation inside the VIP room. It was extremely private. Inside the VIP room, there were already a lot of fresh fruits and juices. After the clever young man brought Du Xiaofu and Gu Xingyan into the VIP room, he turned around and left. What a lively place! As expected of the Dark City, there are quite a few experts here today. Gu Xingyan looked at the crowd of people who were pouring into the auction hall and sighed. Even the busiest auction in the capital couldn't compare to this scale. At this time, Gu Xingyan, who was also a soul talisman master, sensed with her mental energy that there were already many experts in the auction hall. The attraction of the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, is really not small. Du Xiaofu murmured softly. With his mental energy, he also sensed many obscure auras. There were many marquis experts, and there were even many soul talisman masters among them. Gu Xingyan didn't speak again, but it could be seen that she was quite nervous. However, she immediately suppressed the emotions in her heart. Her beautiful eyes under the red veil slightly closed, and she began to close her eyes and rest. Du Xiaofu didn't speak again, waiting for the auction to officially begin. From time to time, he sensed many people entering the VIP room, but it was also difficult to see who they were. However, when those figures entered the third floor, they brought with them waves of invisible auras, which made Du Xiaofu feel a little depressed. There was no lack of experts coming. Those auras made Du Xiaofu feel a sense of oppression and danger. The auction hall, which could accommodate tens of thousands of people, was gradually filled to the brim. All kinds of discussions and conversations gathered together, making the entire auction hall extremely noisy. Looks like there are quite a few people here for the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine today. When the entire auction hall was filled to the brim with people, Du Xiaofu's eyes moved as he looked at the entire auction hall. Gu Xingyan opened her slightly closed eyes, feeling the sea of people in the auction hall. A dignified look flashed across her beautiful eyes, and she said softly, "Looks like whoever gets the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine today will not have a good ending. Once they leave the Dark City, they will become the target of everyone." Du Xiaofu smiled faintly and didn't speak. Gu Xingyan was worried. Du Xiaofu naturally understood that there were no rules in the dark forest. Even if someone got the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine today, others would not let it go so easily. Once they left the Dark City, they would become the target of everyone's hunting. Buzz! At that moment, a bell rang in the auction hall. It was low and deep and immediately suppressed all the noise in the auction hall. Then, rows of figures slowly walked out from the auction hall. Waves of aura suddenly faintly fluctuated, faintly sealing off the entire auction hall. Those who came were the absolute powerhouses of the Mu family fort. Among their aura, there were a few who were at the martial lord realm. Du Xiaofu looked over and saw that Lu Linchao, who had fought with him yesterday, was among them. There was no doubt that the Mu family fort was one of the 4 major forces in the Dark Forest, but in the lawless Dark City, they had no choice but to be careful about this auction. If anything went wrong in this auction, the Mu clan fort would be utterly disgraced in the Dark Forest. One should know that this auction had unknowingly become a little different. It was no longer a simple auction. As the powerhouses from the Mu family fort walked out one by one, they entered the auction hall. Under the gazes of many people, a rather enchanting lady walked up. This lady looked like she was only 27 or 28 years old. The aura on her body might not be very strong, but her enchanting attire was extremely impactful. Immediately, many people in the auction hall stared at her enchanting body. Around the auction venue, there were many burning gazes that couldn't wait to tear apart the clothes on that enchanting figure that she wasn't wearing much to begin with. Especially when looking from above, as the lady walked up to the auction stage. One would be able to catch a glimpse of her beauty. The enchanting lady stepped onto the auction stage and smiled before saying anything. Then she bowed slightly to the people around her. When she bowed, her fair bosom seemed to be jumping out. Immediately, many people in the surrounding almost had a nosebleed. Thank you for coming to the auction organized by the Moo family fort today. Thank you for coming. The lady stood up. At this moment, under the gazes of tens of thousands of people in the auction hall, and the invisible aura of many powerhouses shrouding her, she still looked indifferent. Based on this point alone, it proved that this lady was not ordinary. Otherwise, an auction of this level would not allow ordinary people to participate. The lady's voice was crisp and clear, reverberating throughout the auction hall. It was enough for everyone to hear her clearly. Her style and tone were clean and concise. Then she continued, "Since everyone is here for the auction today, I will not waste everyone's precious time. Then let the auction begin. First, let's start with the first item of the day." When the lady's voice faded, she waved her hand and made a gesture behind her. Then, a graceful young lady walked out from the inner door of the auction hall. She held a crystal-clear jade plate in her hand and walked up to the auction stage. After circling the auction hall once, she finally placed the jade plate on the stone stage of the auction stage. Du Xiaofu looked down from the VIP room and saw a pill that was not even the size of a baby's fist on the jade plate. However, it was entirely greenish-white, with runes spreading out and flickering with multicolored light. As the pill appeared in the auction hall, a rich medicinal fragrance filled the entire auction hall. The light was dazzling, and the medicinal fragrance assailed the nostrils. Immediately, many people's gazes revealed a heated look. Not a bad pill. It looks delicious. Beside Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao's pale golden eyes flickered. She greedily licked her lips with her tongue. "Don't cause trouble for me." Du Xiaofu had no choice but to warn Du Xiaoyao. An initial marquee grade spirit connecting pill. If consumed by a peak meridian spirit stage cultivator, it can increase the chances of breaking through to the martial marquee realm by 30%. Most importantly, it can increase the chances of successfully merging the meridian spirit and martial vein by 50%. Although it is only at the initial marquee realm, it is priceless. Its value is often much higher than marquee realm mysterious realm pills. Looking down at the pill from above, Gu Xinyan could not help but reveal some surprise in her eyes. The appetizer of the auction was already a marquee realm pill. Moreover, it was the spirit connecting pill that was priceless. It was enough to show the extraordinariness and background of the Moo family trading company. Du Xiaofu was also quite surprised at this moment. The value of a marquee realm pill was self-evident. I believe that many experienced and knowledgeable guests have already recognized it. That's right, the first item we're auctioning today is the soul-connecting pill at the initial level of the marquee level. I'll make a long story short. The soul-connecting pill at the initial level of the marquee level can increase the chances of breaking through to the martial marquee level by 30%. Most importantly, it can increase the chances of successfully merging the pulse spirit and the martial vein by 50%. On the market, it's definitely priceless. Even my Moo family trading company had a hard time obtaining one. Tomorrow is the last day of the month. Brothers who still have flowers, please send them. Don't forget, or they will be invalid. Also, number 1, you will continue to have a big explosion. He wants to break all the explosive chapters in the past 2 months. Please support him. In these 2 days, I believe that everyone can see that you has adjusted a lot of the plot and state. He is gradually getting closer to the hot-blooded passion. He feels that he has found the state that he should be in. Therefore, number 1 has a big explosion. Please support him. Thank you. Chapter 312. The enchanting woman's bright eyes surveyed the surroundings as she spoke in a clear and loud voice. The auction will be conducted using magnetite. Each bid will be at least 1,000 magnetite. The starting price for the initial Ascension Noble Grade Soul Link Pill is 100,000 magnetite. Begin now. 101,000 magnetite. 103,000 magnetite. As the enchanting woman's voice fell, the sounds of bidding immediately rose and fell in succession within the auction house. So it's all starting with magnetite. Du Xiaofu was rather moved as he listened to the rising and falling bids within the auction house. Du Xiaofu was extremely familiar with magnetite. Zhan Qingchun had mentioned it back then. When he was in Tianwu Academy, he had plundered quite a few universe bags that contained quite a number of magnetite. Tianwu Academy also had quite a few magnetite mines. Mystic coins were commonly used by the masses, while magnetite was used by almost all cultivators. 1,000 mystic coins could only be exchanged for one piece of magnetite. However, it was difficult to exchange 1,000 mystic coins for one piece of magnetite. Although 1,000 mystic coins was equivalent to one piece of magnetite, no one would be willing to use magnetite to exchange for mystic coins. Magnetite was condensed from the energy of heaven and earth and could be refined into a considerable amount of energy. In fact, many weapon refinements required the refined essence of magnetite to be added into spirit weapons and talisman weapons. After the magnetite was cut into mystic coins, the energy of heaven and earth would almost completely dissipate. As a result, it no longer had any cultivation value. 263,000 magnetite. In a short period of time, the price of the Soul Link Pill had already risen to 263,000 amidst the rising and falling bids. Although the Soul Link Pill was a good item, Du Xiaofu still had no use for it at the moment. Moreover, the price also made Du Xiaofu feel somewhat powerless. However, although Du Xiaofu did not have that many magnetite on him right now, it was not as if he could not take out something equivalent to the price of the Soul Link Pill. One had to know that the universe bag that Du Xiaofu had obtained from Gu Bak then had contained astonishing gains. Although Du Xiaofu did not have the time to open the Qingkuan bag that he had recently snatched from Hua Fangkong, one could easily imagine the value of the Qingkuan bag of Hua Fangkong, who was a martial marquis and a gang leader at that. Gu Xinyan had already reached the martial marquis realm long ago. Hence, the Soul Link Pill was not very attractive to her. The two sat in silence, Du Xiaofu's universe bag. In the end, the Soul Channeling Pill was purchased by a person in a VIP room on the 3rd floor for 380,000 profound stones. The voice seemed to belong to a young man, and Du Xiaofu felt a sense of familiarity, but he didn't pay too much attention to it. Then, the second auction item came out. It was actually a martial skill of the marquis level. The starting price was also 100,000 magnetite. Once again, it caused the auction to madly bid. Even Gu Xinyan was moved, but she held herself back from bidding. "You seem to be interested." Du Xiaofu asked Gu Xinyan. There are not many martial skills of the marquis level that can be auctioned. Even in the capital, it is rarely seen. Ordinary clans and factions would treat martial skills of the marquis level as their sect treasure and would not easily take them out. This place is truly worthy of being called the Dark Forest. Gu Xinyan sighed slightly and said softly, "However, although martial skills of the marquis level are rare, our academy also has them. If you use points to exchange for them, it is much more cost-effective than auctioning them off. If you encounter some rare martial skills or martial skills that are specially suitable for you, it would be good to buy them." Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. The academy also had martial skills of the marquis level. If he used points to exchange for them, it would naturally be much more cost-effective. However, when he thought of his 8 million points that had been deducted, he could not help but feel heartache again. Du Xiaofu watched calmly amidst the rising and falling cries. Du Xiaofu did not place too much importance on martial skills. Martial skills of the marquis level were indeed extraordinary, but due to various reasons, Du Xiaofu was not too interested in cultivating martial skills. What's more, Du Xiaofu didn't have much interest in ordinary martial skills now that he had the mysterious move. His every movement was infused with the mysterious move, and ordinary martial skills couldn't be compared to it. Unless he encountered a martial skill that he liked, it would be a different story. Du Xiaofu quietly watched and listened to the rising price. It was not difficult for him to feel that many people in the auction house had not made a bid yet, especially for the people in the VIP rooms on the third floor. The auction had just begun, and the real good items were at the back. The items that the Mu clan fort had put up now were absolutely extraordinary for ordinary people. However, for those who could enter the VIP rooms, they were not very attractive. Moreover, everyone knew that the focus of this auction was the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine. It was estimated that half of the people in the VIP rooms on the third floor had come for the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine. Under Du Xiaofu's indifferent gaze, the second martial skill of the marquee level was finally bought by an old man on the second floor at a price similar to the soul-connecting elixir. Then, the third item was put up for auction. It was a set of black-level middle-class physique cultivation method. Physique cultivation methods were rare, and black-level middle-class physique cultivation methods were even rarer. Without a doubt, it caused a frenzied auction. With the cultivation method of the golden winged rock, Du Xiaofu was naturally unmoved by a set of black-level middle-class physique cultivation method. He did not take it seriously. As he waited, various items were put up for auction. The level of the items was getting higher and higher. Amidst the rising and falling bids, the mood in the auction house began to explode. In such a high atmosphere, many items were sold at extremely high prices. This was definitely a perfect auction for the Mu Clan Trading Company, and it was enough to make a lot of money. When the eighth item was put up for auction, a set of 5-star mysterious level talisman array was put up for auction. The starting price of 1 million black stones was 10 times higher than the starting price of the marquee level martial skill. As the 5-star mysterious level talisman array was put up for auction, there were not many bidders. After all, talisman arrays were only useful to a few spirit talisman masters. However, it did not affect the level of enthusiasm at all. The price of 1 million black stones was immediately put up for auction by the people in the VIP rooms on the third floor. After a few bids, it reached 7 million black stones. 8 million black stones. Gu Xinyan began to bid. When the price of 8 million black stones came out of her mouth, her face did not turn red and her heart did not skip a beat. This caused Du Xiaofu to be slightly surprised. This price was definitely not low. Ordinary people would stop at the sight of it. Seeing Du Xiaofu's slight surprise, Gu Xinyan smiled and said to Du Xiaofu, "This set of talisman arrays is extremely suitable for me. If I can successfully cultivate it, it will increase my strength by a lot." In the blink of an eye, the price of the talisman array was raised to 1 million black stones. 2 million black stones. Gu Xinyan increased the price once again. She intentionally put the 5-star mysterious level talisman array into her bosom. However, the guests in the VIP rooms around her had no intention of putting it down either. Immediately, a fierce competition began. 325 million black stones going once. 335 million black stones going twice. Is there anyone who wants to go higher? After the fierce competition, the price of this 5-star mysterious level talisman array reached an astonishing price of over 5 million black stones. It could be said that if it were not for the fierce competition, the price would definitely not be so high. After the price of over 5 million black stones, the fierce competition began to calm down. This kind of price was not something that many people could afford. 335 million black stones going thrice. Sold. Congratulations to the honorable guest in the VIP room on the third floor. Finally, the alluring woman on the auction stage made the final decision. She raised her head and looked towards the third floor. She nodded respectfully towards the room Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan were in. Congratulations. Du Xiaofu smiled at Gu Xinyan. The price of 5,335,000 was Gu Xinyan's. To be able to call out such a price proved that Gu Xinyan was definitely a wealthy woman. This price is already very high. If it were not for the auction, it would not have reached such a high price. However, to be able to obtain a suitable 5-star mysterious level talisman array, the price is a bit higher. It is worth it. Gu Xinyan smiled faintly. Although the price was extremely high, she did not mind it too much. It was obvious that Gu Xinyan was rather happy to have obtained a 5-star mysterious level talisman array. The items that were auctioned off could be exchanged directly after the auction ended. Next up is the 9th auction item. This item is not ordinary. I wonder if there are any honorable guests with unique eyesight present. On the auction stage, the alluring woman looked around the auction stage with a smile on her face. She waved her hand slightly, and 6 large men slowly carried an item out from the inner sect. They slowly walked onto the auction stage. Seeing the 6 large men carrying an item onto the stage, everyone's eyes were filled with doubt and curiosity. They immediately looked over. The item that the 6 men carried onto the stage was the corpse of a headless, demonic beast. It was at least a few feet long, as if it had been hung in a ventilated area for thousands of years after its death. The corpse did not show any signs of decay. Instead, it had been dried by the wind. The demonic beast's corpse was headless, and its body had also been withered by the wind. It was impossible to tell what kind of demonic beast's corpse it was. However, the entire headless demonic beast's corpse was sparkling and translucent. It had been weathered for thousands of years, but it still contained a certain kind of energy and faintly emitted a pressure. For a headless demonic beast's corpse to still contain energy and pressure after so long after its death, this demonic beast's bloodline was definitely not low. It could not be an ordinary demonic beast. Honorable guests, this headless demonic beast's corpse was accidentally obtained by the Mu clan fort a few years ago. After the appraisal of the Mu clan fort master and many spiritual talisman masters, this demonic beast corpse was at least at the level of a beast emperor when it was alive. It might even be a demonic beast at the top of the heavenly beast list, the alluring woman said as she looked around the auction house. On the last day of the month, brothers, please check the flowers. Don't forget to send them in. After today, they will be invalid. Thank you. Chapter 313. Translator. H2DH2, Mr. Heavens. How could there be a beast emperor level monstrous beast's corpse in the dark forest? A beast emperor's corpse is a precious treasure. A beast emperor's corpse is invaluable. As the enchanting woman finished speaking, there was a sudden uproar in the auction hall. A beast emperor level monstrous beast's corpse was definitely a precious treasure among precious treasures. This must be an exaggeration. There must be something wrong with this monstrous beast's corpse. Otherwise, the Mu clan fort would never auction off a beast emperor level monstrous beast's corpse, Gu Xinyan said softly. Du Xiaofu's eyes were fixed on the monstrous beast's corpse. The dried corpse's appearance could not be seen clearly, and it was even more difficult to identify it since it was headless. However, there were some fluctuations of energy contained in the sparkling and translucent corpse, proving that the headless corpse was not an ordinary monstrous beast's corpse. May I ask if the mystic bones and blood essence of this beast emperor level corpse still exist? On the 2nd floor of the auction hall, a young man in green stood up and asked the enchanting woman on the auction stage. The enchanting woman smiled and said, "When the Mu clan fort obtained this monstrous beast's corpse, it was already headless. It was also dried up, so naturally there was no blood essence. The mystic bones were also long gone." The enchanting woman continued, "However, the value of a beast emperor level monstrous beast corpse is astonishing. A beast emperor level monstrous beast is something that even a martial emperor level powerhouse of the human clan would have to avoid. I'm sure there's no need for me to explain. The beast emperor level monstrous beast's corpse contains many secrets. If we were to discover some kind of secret skill or beast ability, we would be rich." As the enchanting woman finished speaking, many of the excited gazes in the auction hall immediately cooled down. A monstrous beast's corpse, without mystic bones and blood essence, had already lost its greatest value. What's more, these were headless skeletons and dried corpses. Even if they fell into the hands of a talisman master, they wouldn't be of much use. The people present were not fools. If they could find any secret techniques or beast skills from the bones of a beast emperor realm demonic beast, the Mu clan's fort would have found them long ago. The demonic beast's bones had probably been studied by the powerhouses of the Mu clan's fort. They could not find any secret techniques or beast skills, which was why they could not put it up for auction. Only in this way could they maximize the profits from the bones. As for whether or not this headless monster skeleton, which had lost its mystic bones and blood essence, was a real beast emperor skeleton, that was what the Mu clan fort had said. At this moment, this skeleton had been weathered into a dried corpse, so it was hard to be sure. Of course, it was impossible to say that the bones of these demonic beasts were worthless. Everyone could feel that this demonic beast's bones still contained pure energy even after being eroded by the wind. This was definitely not something an ordinary demonic beast could compare with. Even if this demonic beast's bones were taken home and refined into medicinal liquid for the younger generation to cleanse their bones, it would still be worth a lot. Just as the enchanting woman said, if they could find any secret techniques or beast skills from this demonic beast's bones, they would really hit the jackpot. Even if the people of the Mu clan fort could not find any, it did not mean that others could not. However, if the people of the Mu clan fort could not find any secrets from this demonic beast's bones, the chances of others finding any secret techniques or beast skills from this demonic beast's bones were not very high. It shouldn't be an ordinary demonic beast. Du Xiaofu's gaze was fixed on the demonic beast's bones. With the sharp mind power of a talisman master, he could feel that the headless monster's bones contained a lot of energy and pressure. Du Xiaofu was not sure if this demonic beast's bones were at the beast emperor realm when it was alive. After all, it was hard to say, and he had never come into contact with it. However, as the enchanting woman from the Mu clan's trading company had said, this demonic beast's bones were extraordinary when it was alive. Du Xiaofu was sure of this. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu looked at the headless corpse on the auction stage. All of a sudden, the blood in his body started to heat up, and the blood in his body started to tremble for no reason, as if it had been inexplicably touched by something. Du Xiaofu could clearly feel the source of this touch came from within the headless monster's bones. However, the feeling of being touched for no reason did not come from the headless corpse itself. Instead, it came from a secret place within the headless corpse. The aura of that demonic beast's bones seems to be related to that stupid tiger's blood, Du Xiaoyao suddenly said. There was a hint of doubt in her pale golden eyes. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu felt a strange touch from the headless monster's bones. He immediately asked Du Xiaoyao, "Do you know the origin of that demonic beast's bones?" Du Xiaoyao shook her head and said, "I can't recognize it, but I can feel that there is a lot of blood essence hidden within the bones. Ordinary people can't find it at all. This thing is not simple. You should buy it. I feel that if you give it to that stupid tiger, it will benefit it a lot." Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly lit up. The stupid tiger Du Xiaoyao mentioned was the little tiger. It could benefit the king-scaled demonic tiger greatly. If there was a chance, Du Xiaofu would not be stingy. At this moment, although the headless monster's bones and blood essence had lost most of the people's interest, there were still people who paid close attention to it and wanted to compete for it. The enchanting woman looked at the reactions of the people around her and said at the wrong time, "Distinguished guests, let's start the auction now. The starting price for the bones of a beast emperor realm demonic beast is 1,000,000 magnetite stones. Each bid is 100,000 magnetite stones. So expensive. Originally, there were still many people who were interested. However, when they heard the price, they were immediately disappointed. 1,000,000 magnetite stones could buy several soul-penetrating elixirs. Although the headless monster's corpse was extraordinary, it had lost 90% of its value without the bones and blood essence. They might be able to find some secret techniques and benefits from the corpse. But it was also a gamble. It was a huge gamble, and the odds of winning were obviously not high. Otherwise, the Mu family fort would not have released this mummy. It was possible that they would lose everything in the end. At most, they would only get a pile of mummies to refine and refine for their descendants to cleanse their marrows. Moreover, the price of 1,000,000 magnetite stones was not a small amount. Ordinary forces could not afford it, even if they went bankrupt. When the price of 1,000,000 magnetite stones was announced, the auction house suddenly fell silent. This price had exceeded the expectations of many forces who wanted to compete for it. They had no choice but to give up. Humph. Do the people of the Mu clan fort really think that others are fools? The headless corpse that they obtained more than 10 years ago did not have any secret techniques or beast energy. Now, they want to auction it for 1,000,000 magnetite stones. In a VIP room on the 3rd floor, a young man in a black shirt looked gloomy and arrogant. He stared coldly at the headless corpse in the auction house. However, he was very interested in the enchanting woman on the auction stage. With a dirty look, he turned around and said to a burly man beside him, "Elder Hu, you're in charge of our Black Demon Trading Company. If there's a chance, poach that woman to our Black Demon Trading Company. What do you think?" "Young master, this woman is called Mu Shinka. She's a trusted aide of the Mu clan fort. She has a very high position in the Mu clan trading company. It's not easy to poach her." The burly man suddenly looked troubled. "As long as the price is high, there's nothing you can't poach. I believe in you. You must poach her," the young man in black said as he patted the burly man's shoulder. "Yes, I'll do my best." The burly man could only nod his head embarrassedly. A man with a head full of silver hair in another VIP room in the auction house that was momentarily silent was looking down at the headless, demonic beast corpse on the auction stage. He spoke to a few people led by a gray-robed man beside him. "Do you think that the corpse is worth 1,000,000 Xian stones?" Other than the gray-robed man, the rest of the people who were led by the gray-robed man were wearing masks. When they heard this, they looked at each other. "I'm afraid it's not worth it. If there's essence, blood, and secret bones, and it's really at the Beast Emperor realm, it would be difficult to purchase it even with hundreds of millions of magnetite stones. However, that corpse is half useless now. It's worth at most 300,000 magnetite stones." The gray-robed man hesitated for a moment before saying to the silver-haired man. When the silver-haired man heard this, the corners of his mouth curled into a smile as he softly said, "This demonic beast corpse is not bad. For some special people, it will be of great use. I happen to know a person who is especially interested in demonic beast corpses. When a demonic beast corpse falls into his hands, it will often be of great use. Although 1,000,000 is a little expensive, if you can give it to that guy, you can sell him a favor. It's not a loss at all. 1,000,000 magnetite stones." After a moment of silence, a bid was finally heard from the VIP room on the 3rd floor of the auction house. 1,100,000. Du Xiaofu called out the bid. His gaze also looked at a VIP room not far away from him. He did not expect that there would be someone who wanted this demonic beast corpse. That voice seemed to have a faint familiarity. Inside the VIP room, the gray-robed man wanted to call out another bid, but was stopped by the silver-haired man. He said softly, 1,200,000 is too expensive. That favor is only worth 1,000,000 magnetite stones. There's no need for any more." Yes, the gray-robed man nodded and did not call out another bid. 1,100,000 magnetite stones going once. 1,100,000 magnetite stones going twice. 1,100,000 magnetite stones going thrice. Sold. Congratulations to the esteemed guest above. The enchanting woman made the final decision. Her gaze once again looked towards the VIP room and nodded. She seemed to have received some information long ago and knew that the esteemed guest in the VIP room was different from the others today. "You've made a profit. Your luck is pretty good," Du Xiaoyao said to Du Xiaofu. "I'm afraid that I can feel that the demonic beast corpse is not simple. If nothing unexpected happens, that stupid tiger should be in for a treat." "Haha," Du Xiaofu chuckled. Only one person had competed for it once. If the price of 1,100,000 magnetite stones was really not simple, as Du Xiaoyao had said, it undoubtedly proved that he had picked up a great bargain. Chapter 314. Moreover, Du Xiaofu also felt that the demonic beast's dried corpse was extraordinary. It was able to stir the blood in its body. That touch made Du Xiaofu feel as if there was an inexplicable and strange life force within the demonic beast's mummified corpse. 1,000,000 magnetite stones could buy a few spirit communication pills. However, at this moment, someone had bought a dried corpse. This immediately caused many people to raise their heads and look over. However, under the cover of the blinds, no one could see clearly who was in the private room. However, it was not difficult for the crowd to know that the two treasures in the VIP private room had already been auctioned off. It was likely that the background of the person was not ordinary. When the demonic beast's dried corpse was once again carried down by the 6 burly men, the enchanting woman looked around under the watchful eyes of the crowd. Her expression was exceptionally serious. At this moment, a burly man with an extraordinary aura slowly walked out from the inner gate. He held a rectangular brocade box that was half the length of a person and half the height of a meter as he slowly walked onto the stage. Around this burly man, the auras of a few Mu clan fort elders were locked onto him at this moment. They were afraid that if there was even the slightest movement in the auction house, the few Mu clan fort elders would immediately take action. Suddenly, when they saw the Mu clan fort being cautious, as if they were about to face a great enemy, the entire auction house suddenly became extremely quiet. Many people's eyes immediately surged with passion. It was not difficult for the crowd to know that the 10th auction item was probably the last auction item that everyone had been waiting for today. It was also the finale treasure of the Mu Clan Trading Company's auction this time. It was the rumored mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine. In today's auction house, most of the buyers, especially those with real strength, could be said to be here for the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine. The mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, was a precious treasure for refining weapons. It was said that it could be refined into a doctrine weapon. Its value could not even be compared to a 5-star talisman array. There was no cultivator who did not yearn for a doctrine weapon. Having a spiritual weapon could allow one to be invincible among those with the same cultivation base and increase one's strength greatly. Having a practitioner weapon would make it easy for one to kill those with the same cultivation base. However, it was not too difficult for cultivators to obtain a spiritual weapon and practitioner weapon, especially a spiritual weapon at the pulse spirit stage. Even though practitioner weapons were rare, there were still people who possessed them. Some top powers and clans also possessed practitioner weapons. With a practitioner weapon, he would be invincible among those of the same level of cultivation. It would be easy for him to fight against those of a higher level. However, Dao artifacts were too rare. They were so rare that they were akin to legends. It was rumored that with a Dao artifact, one would be able to communicate with and borrow the energy of heaven and earth. When an expert activated a Dao artifact, it was enough to cause mountains to crumble and the earth to crack. With a raise of their hand, they could destroy everything. Killing opponents above their level would be as easy as pie. His strength was unimaginable. The profound spirit heavenspan vine was a precious artifact that could be used to refine Dao artifacts. Its value could be imagined. Now, the mysterious spirit heavenly vine was in the Mu clan's trading firm, in the dark city in the dark forest. In this place where strength was respected, if it were not for the Mu clan fort's strength that could suppress it, it would have been forcefully massacred by the powerhouses. As for the Mu clan fort, they had no choice but to auction the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine. News had already spread that the profound spirit Heavenly Vine was being auctioned in the Mu clan's trading firm. If the profound spirit Heavenly Vine was directly purchased by the Mu clan fort, it would be a crime to possess such a precious item. The Mu clan fort would immediately become the target of a joint attack by various forces. One could imagine the consequences. Everyone's burning gaze was fixed on the brocade box. Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan were no exception. The purpose of their visit today was the profound spirit Heavenly Vine. On the auction stage, the enchanting lady's face was extremely solemn. Her bright eyes swept across the burning gazes of the crowd. She said, "Distinguished guests, I believe everyone has already heard about the last item of today's auction. That's right, it's the profound spirit Heavenly Vine, a material used to refine Tao artifacts." As soon as she finished speaking, the enchanting lady waved her hand slightly. The brocade box in the burly man's hand immediately opened. Whoosh! In an instant, dazzling rays of light spread out from the brocade box. The rays of light soared into the sky, making the entire auction stage look like a dream. Energy fluctuations rippled in the air. At that moment, countless gazes ignored the dazzling rays of light and immediately fixed their gazes on the brocade box. There was a green vine within the brocade box. Its entire body was sparkling and translucent, and it was slightly curled up. However, one could see that the curled green vine was around 3 meters long. Its surface was wrapped in mysterious talisman markings, and it slowly wriggled like a living creature, as if it possessed intelligence. However, at that moment, there seemed to be some kind of restriction set up in the brocade box. The green vine wanted to break the restriction, but it was unable to do so. Du Xiaofu looked down at the profound spirit Heavenly Vine in the brocade box and murmured softly, "Is that the profound spirit Heavenly Vine?" "It should be the profound spirit Heavenly Vine. It was found in the celestial stone mine of our academy. It is a peculiar existence. It looks like a demon, but it is not a demon. It is used to refine Tao artifacts." Gu Xinyan's beautiful eyes, which were covered by a red veil, were looking at the profound spirit Heavenly Vine in the brocade box below. There were some fluctuations in her eyes. "The profound spirit Heavenly Vine. It has finally appeared." Along with the appearance of the mysterious spirit Heaven Vine, the entire auction house was in an uproar. This included the VIP rooms on the 3rd floor. Many auras that had been calm all this time seemed to have suddenly awakened. Their auras fluctuated and landed on the mysterious spirit Heaven Vine on the auction stage one after another. On the auction stage, the brocade box was only opened for a moment before it was closed again. The multicolored light disappeared and the energy calmed down. The noisy auras in the entire auction house gradually calmed down. Only then did many of the increasingly heated gazes slowly fade away. Because the profound spirit Heavenly Vine's value is immeasurable, there is no reserve price and no limit. Distinguished guests, the auction for the profound spirit Heavenly Vine will now begin. The enchanting woman's bright eyes immediately scanned the surroundings. Unexpectedly, the auction house, which had been bustling with noise, fell into silence. No one bid. No one knew how much the profound spirit Heavenly Vine was worth, nor did they know how to bid. Those with brains knew that without absolute strength, even if they obtained the profound spirit Heavenly Vine, they would not need to leave the dark city. Once they left the Mu family trading company, they would immediately be torn to pieces. 10 million shenstones. I bid 10 million shenstones. A VIP room that had previously bought a soul channeling pill directly called out a bid of 10 million. The voice was unruly. 10 million profound stones was definitely an enormous sum. As the bid of 10 million shenstones was called out, the entire quiet auction house was in an uproar. Everyone's gazes were cast towards the VIP room that called out the bid. "TSK, TSK, who dares to fight with me? The profound spirit Heavenly Vine is mine." In the VIP room, a young man in black sneered. Who would dare to fight with him in the dark city? Looks like he's a strong opponent. Du Xiaofu's gaze also looked towards the VIP room that called out the bid. The voice that called out the bid made Du Xiaofu feel a sense of déjà vu. 11 million. Suddenly, a bid came from the first floor of the auction house. A bid of 11 million Xian stones came from the first floor of the auction house. A person who could pay such a price was definitely not an ordinary person. However, it was a little strange that the person was sitting on the first floor. With doubts in his heart, Du Xiaofu's gaze immediately looked down. Du Xiaofu looked over and saw that the person who called out the bid was a gray-robed elder. His expression was indifferent and his eyes were bright. However, he looked very normal and had a lazy appearance. It was as if he had been dozing off and had just woken up. Oh no, this is troublesome. When Du Xiaofu saw the gray-robed elder who called out the bid, his expression changed drastically. Seeing this, Gu Xinyan asked Du Xiaofu in confusion, "Do you know that person?" "You can say that I know him. He's a very terrifying person. Looks like he's also here for the profound spirit, heavenly vine." Du Xiaofu's changed expression immediately returned to normal. No matter what, he had to obtain the profound spirit, heavenly vine today. 12 million Xian stones, 13 million Xian stones, 14 million Xian stones. Following the gray-robed elder's words, another bid came from the VIP rooms on the third floor. 20 million Xian stones. In the private room where the first bid was made, a bid of 20 million profound stones was called out. Huff, huff! After the bid of 20 million Xian stones was called out, the entire auction house fell silent once again. There were even quite a few gasps. This price was indeed very frightening. After the price of 20 million Xian stones was called out, the several people who called out the bid earlier did not call out any more bids. It looks like quite a few people are determined to get it. In a VIP room, a silver-haired man looked down with a calm gaze and a smile on his lips. 20 million Xian stones. I'm afraid that not many people will bid higher. Do we need to call out a bid? The gray-robed man asked the silver-haired man respectfully. There's no need. What belongs to us will return to us sooner or later. Let's not interfere. The silver-haired man smiled faintly. 20 million Xian stones. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher? After a short period of silence in the auction house, the enchanting woman looked around with her bright eyes and asked an untimely question. Everyone in the auction house looked at each other. This price was not something that anyone could afford. Besides, so what if they could afford it? Everyone knew that even if they obtained it, they would definitely be attacked by countless people. Whether or not they could successfully escape was an absolute risk. Huff! Inside the VIP room, Du Xiaofu took a deep breath. The price of 20 million Xian stones was enough to make one's heart jump. However, he immediately opened his mouth and slowly said, I bid 20 million and 1 Xian stones. Following Du Xiaofu's bid, the gazes of the entire auction house trembled as they all looked over. 20 million and 1 Xian stones. Of all the bids, that fellow actually only bid 1 Xian stone more. He was clearly doing it on purpose. Chapter 315. You want to bid for the profound spirit, heaven-span vine. Gu Xinyan looked at Du Xiaofu. She didn't know about Du Xiaofu's plan today, nor did she know what Du Xiaofu and the Mu family fort lord had talked about yesterday. But when Gu Xinyan saw Du Xiaofu directly bid 20 million, she couldn't accept such a price. She had already done her best to bid for a 5-star, profound spirit heaven-span seal formation. There's no helping it. The profound spirit heaven-span vine cannot fall into the hands of others. She shrugged helplessly at Du Xiaofu. Right now, all she could do was get the profound spirit heaven-span vine for herself. 21 million profound stones. The arrogant voice rang out again. It wasn't hard to tell from the voice that the person calling out the price wasn't in a good mood. 21 million and 1. 22 million, 22 million and one. 25 million, 25 million and one. Bids rang out continuously. The arrogant voice was close to exploding with rage. No matter how he bid, the other party would always bid one more profound stone than him. No more, no less, just one more profound stone. This was clearly done on purpose. Everyone's gazes wavered. Everyone was suspicious in their hearts. Could it be that the two people in the VIP rooms had some grudge against each other? Adding one more profound stone, no more, no less. This was clearly a provocation. It had been like this several times. This was clearly an absolute provocation. However, adding one profound stone each time was in accordance with the rules. The auction of the profound spirit heaven-span vine had agreed that there was no limit to the base price or anything else. No one could say anything about it. You over there, what is the meaning of this? Are you doing this on purpose? 28 million profound stones. Add more if you can. From the VIP room, the arrogant voice directly berated Du Xiaofu's room. 28 million and one. Sir, this is just an auction. The highest bidder wins. Aren't you letting others bid? Du Xiaofu's deep voice rang out. He was in accordance with the rules, so he naturally didn't feel anything was wrong. 30 million. The arrogant voice shouted angrily, his dark gaze shooting out. 30,001. Du Xiaofu once again offered a price. This price was already enough to make one's heart jump. 3. The black-clothed youth flew into a rage and was about to raise the price again. Young sect leader, we can't raise the price any further. The price is already the limit. If you raise it any further, we won't be able to bear it. Within the VIP room, a burly man beside the black-clothed young man had no choice but to pull him back. The price of 30 million had already reached the limit of what they could afford. 30,001 going once. 30,001 going twice. Is there anyone who wants to go higher? 30,001 going thrice sold. Congratulations to the guest on the third floor for obtaining the mysterious spirit heaven-span vine. The enchanting woman looked towards the VIP room on the third floor. The price of 30 million was definitely the highest price she had ever paid in an auction in so many years. Swish, swish. As the enchanting woman's voice faded, the surrounding gazes uniformly looked towards the VIP room Du Xiaofu was in. Who? Du Xiaofu took a deep breath, but at this moment, the expression on his face turned serious. Using his mental energy, Du Xiaofu discovered several hidden auras spying over. These auras had their eyes on him. If he wanted to escape today, it wouldn't be easy. You really bought it. Gu Xinyan's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. From now on, I'm afraid that trouble will befall us. From now on, you have to listen to me. No matter what the situation is, you have to listen to me. Otherwise, I'm afraid that the mysterious spirit heaven-span vine won't be able to return to Tianwu Academy. Du Xiaofu turned around and looked at Gu Xinyan seriously. The beautiful eyes covered by the red veil looked at Du Xiaofu for a while. Then she nodded her head slightly and said gently, "All right. Du Xiaoyao, can you leave for a while? We don't want to attract too much attention." Du Xiaofu asked Du Xiaoyao. "All right." Du Xiaoyao nodded her head. Her translucent, pale, golden body flickered with light. Then, under Gu Xinyan's astonished gaze, she turned into a palm-sized bronze mountain peak and was kept by Du Xiaofu. When the two of them opened the VIP room's blinds and walked out, the entire auction house's gazes fell on Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan. However, Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan's faces were covered by cloaks, so no one could see their faces clearly. As the last mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, was auctioned off, the auction house began to disperse. The guests in the VIP rooms did not miss the opportunity to walk out. Their gazes and concealed auras fell on Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan. However, under the cloaks, their faces could not be seen clearly. Not far away, in a VIP room, several figures wearing cloaks and loose robes walked out. The leader was a silver-haired man who looked to be about 25 or 26 years old. His eyes were pitch black, and his gaze swept across Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan. This person is so evil. While Du Xiaofu's mental energy probed, he suddenly sensed a pair of eyes. Raising his head slightly, he looked over from under the cloak. The silver-haired man's eyes swept across his body, causing a chill to surge out of his heart for no reason. Those people are related to the Dark Nether sect. They were the ones who attacked us that night. Although they have concealed their auras, I have some means to detect them. Gu Xinyan's voice softly whispered into Du Xiaofu's ear. The Dark Nether sect? Ghost Claw should be related to them. Why would he appear in the auction house? When Du Xiaofu heard this, his gaze immediately became pensive. This did not seem to be normal. Congratulations on obtaining the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine. Congratulations. An arrogant voice sounded. A black-clothed young man arrived in front of Du Xiaofu. His gaze was gloomy and cold. Du Xiaofu recognized this voice. It was the voice that had been competing with him for the mysterious spirit Heavenly Vine. When he looked at the black-clothed young man in front of him, Du Xiaofu's clear eyes under the cloak suddenly became cold. This young man was not an ordinary person. Du Xiaofu naturally knew him. They had fought more than once. Mu Zhenghao had mentioned Shui Yunming from the Black Fiend sect in the Dark Forest. He had an extremely high position in the Black Fiend sect. He seemed to be the young master of the Black Fiend sect. At this moment, when he saw the people from the Black Fiend sect, the coldness in Du Xiaofu's eyes could not help but fluctuate. However, this was the Mu family's trading company, and there were more important things to do now. He suppressed the coldness in his eyes and said in a low voice, "The mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, is auctioned off. The highest bidder wins." The highest bidder wins? Well, one must have the ability to do so. Don't worry, the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, is still mine. We will meet again soon. Shui Yunming's gaze was gloomy as he looked at Du Xiaofu. Is that so? When we meet again, I hope you won't regret it, Du Xiaofu said in a low voice, emphasizing every word. You have guts. Let's see who regrets it later. I will definitely grind your bones to dust. You won't get the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine. Shui Yunming leaned forward and whispered in Du Xiaofu's ear. Then, his eyes greedily swept over Gu Xinyan's graceful body. In the end, he laughed loudly and left with the people behind him. I also look forward to seeing you again. Looking at Shui Yunming's back, Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed with coldness. That person should be the young master of the Black Fiend sect, Shui Yunming. Do you know him before? Gu Xinyan whispered to Du Xiaofu. Kind of. Our relationship is not shallow. A smile appeared on Du Xiaofu's face. He then said to Gu Xinyan, Let's not talk about Shui Yunming for now. Let's go to the trading company to get the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, and then find a way to leave the Dark City. A moment later, in a secluded hall behind the Mu family trading company, a muscular middle-aged man handed 3 Qinkuan bags to Du Xiaofu. He said, The monster beast corpse and the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, that you want are all in the Qinkuan bags. Thank you, Uncle Mu. However, I don't have any Xian stones on me right now. Can I use other things as collateral? Du Xiaofu accepted the 3 Qinkuan bags with a bitter smile. He couldn't take out 1 million Xian stones on him. I've already given you the mysterious spirit, Heavenly Vine, so why would I care about your 1 million Xian stones? I'll give it to you. Many spirit talisman masters and I have studied the monster beast corpse for more than 10 years, but we have no clue. Although it's extraordinary, it doesn't have any substantial effects. 1 million Xian stones is on the high side. I hope you're lucky enough to research some secret techniques and beasts. The middle-aged man spoke with an imposing and oppressive aura. He was the master of the Mu family fort, Mu Mingqing. Give it to me. Du Xiaofu was rather shocked. 1 million Shen stones was equivalent to several spirit communication elixirs. The Mu family fort was being too generous to him. Since I'm giving it to you, just take it. Mu Mingqing looked at Du Xiaofu and then at Du Xiaofu. He said, "You should know that once you leave the Mu family trading company, it will be extremely dangerous. Are you sure you want to do this?" Du Xiaofu looked at Mu Mingqing and smiled. He said, "If I don't leave the Mu family trading company, I'm afraid it will be extremely dangerous. Thank you for your help, Uncle Mu. Leave the rest to me. You're ambitious. Go. I hope you can succeed." Mu Mingqing nodded and didn't say anything else. "Goodbye." Du Xiaofu put away the 3 Qingquan bags and turned to leave. As Du Xiaofu walked out of the room, several elders and burly men walked in. Lu Linchao was among them. He said to Mu Mingqing, "Fort Master, can this little guy do it? There are too many people outside. I'm worried that someone will make a move before they can leave the Dark City. Brothers, let's start the combo. After you've finished reading, please give us some fresh flowers. Thank you." Chapter 316. Whether or not he can make it through will depend on his own ability, Mu Mingqing said softly. Then he looked at the crowd and said, "Ghost Claw should be here already, right? 30 million profound stones. He naturally came as soon as possible and is waiting inside." An old man said. Before he could finish, Mu Mingqing interrupted. "I'll go personally. Looks like Ghost Claw has grown a lot more daring after not seeing him for a long time." In a luxurious little hall, a skinny old man of about 50 years old sat upright. He looked like he was just skin and bones, his eyes sunken deep into his eye sockets. His gaze wavered, revealing a slight sneer. Suddenly, Ghost Claw seemed to sense something, and his gaze abruptly turned towards the door. "Ghost Claw, long time no see." A hearty voice rang out as several figures slowly walked into the little hall. The one at the front was a well-built, middle-aged man with a smile on his face and a calm expression. Ghost Claw's gaze was fixed on Mu Mingqing. The sneer in his eyes instantly froze, and even the expression on his face immediately froze. The corners of his mouth twitched as he opened and closed his mouth a few times. Only then did Ghost Claw speak. Looking at the middle-aged man at the front, his skinny body trembled as he stood up and said softly, "Mu, Fort Master Mu, long time no see. Looks like you've obtained quite a bit of benefits recently. You're even willing to auction off the profound spirit heavenvine." The middle-aged man was Mu Mingqing. Looking at Ghost Claw, he smiled faintly, causing Ghost Claw's entire body to tremble for some reason. Forcefully suppressing the uneasiness in his heart, Ghost Claw raised his head. His gloomy expression receded and a smile appeared on his skinny face as he said softly, "What are you saying, Fort Master Mu? No matter what, I can't compare to Fort Master Mu. 30 million and 1 profound coins. After deducting 20% of the commission, there's still 20 million and 1 profound coins left. Take it, it's all in the profound stone card. You can exchange it anywhere." Mu Mingqing waved his hand and tossed a jade crystal card to Ghost Claw. He smiled faintly and said, "Do you want to check it? Once you leave my Mu family's trading company, everything else has nothing to do with me. Hee hee. Since Fort Lord Mu is here personally, how can I not trust you? Naturally, there is no need for an inspection. Thank you very much, Fort Lord Mu. I still have some matters to attend to, so I will take my leave first." Ghost Claw put away the dark stone crystal card and wished he could leave as soon as possible. He immediately turned around and left, fearing that he would be stopped by the powerhouses of the Mu fort. "Take care." Mu Mingqing smiled. He had no intention of stopping Ghost Claw and allowed it to leave. "Big brother, Ghost Claw has always been very cautious. Why didn't he check the magnetite crystal card this time? By the time he finds out, it will be too late for regrets." Lu Linchao watched Ghost Claw's figure disappear with a smile in his eyes. Mu Mingqing smiled faintly and said, He has a guilty conscience. When he came to the Mu Family Trading Company, the person he was most afraid of meeting was me. Now that you've seen me, you're naturally worried. The more cautious you are, the more you want to leave. However, once you leave the Mu Family Trading Company, everything will have nothing to do with my Mu Family Trading Company. Outside the Mu Family Trading Company, the people in the auction venue had already dispersed. Although the streets were bustling with people, it was no longer crowded. Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan walked out of the Mu Family Trading Company. They raised their heads slightly and saw that the streets were bustling with people as usual. However, the surrounding streets were shrouded in a strange atmosphere for no reason. Even the tea stall on the opposite side of the alleyway was bursting with business at this moment. There were even many people who could only stand and drink tea. Du Xiaofu's eyes under the cloak could see the busy figures of the old lady selling tea and the little boy in the distance. His expression changed slightly, and he said to Gu Xinyan, who was beside him, "You haven't had a good tour of the dark city, right?" Gu Xinyan's beautiful eyes under the red veil looked around and felt the strange atmosphere. She said, "Are you still in the mood to walk around?" "Of course, I'll walk slowly. There's no hurry." Du Xiaofu smiled. He did not leave in a hurry. Instead, he slowly strolled on the streets with a leisurely look on his face. Gu Xinyan's delicate body paused for a moment. However, she quickly followed beside Du Xiaofu. The two of them strolled leisurely in Dark City at a leisurely pace. A strange scene immediately appeared on the streets. On the bustling streets, a man and a woman wearing cloaks were strolling leisurely. Behind the two of them, a crowd of people had unknowingly followed them, blocking the wide streets. However, no one was the first to step forward. Those two are actually strolling leisurely. There must be something strange going on. Don't be impulsive. We must not be used as cannon fodder. Wait for an opportunity. Looks like we have become the prey. On the streets, Gu Xinyan did not turn her head. However, she could sense the situation behind her. The more people there are, the safer we will be. No one wants to be the target of public criticism. They are waiting. Du Xiaofu smiled. However, between his eyebrows, there was a trace of seriousness. Time passed slowly. As the two of them strolled, dusk finally arrived. At this moment, the two of them could feel that more and more auras were tightly locked onto them. When the sun had set and the silver dew had just enveloped the dark city, Du Xiaofu raised his head to look at the twilight. In his line of sight, the outline of a vast mountain range appeared in front of him. He immediately said to Gu Xinyan, "It's time. Let's get out of the city. Quick!" Whoosh, whoosh! As soon as Du Xiaofu's voice fell, the profound qi under their feet surged. Their figures suddenly sped away, like lightning. They have started to escape. They want to take advantage of the night to escape into the dark forest. Chase after them. As Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan sped away, an overwhelming aura suddenly erupted behind them. Figures without any scruples, like locusts passing through, chased after Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan. Night gradually enveloped the sky. Inside the towering gates of the dark city, two figures wearing cloaks flew out. It was Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan. Pun descends to the ninth heaven. An overbearing aura spread out from Du Xiaofu's body. Pale golden profound qi soared into the sky. A pair of rune wings spread out from his back. He flapped his wings and soared into the sky. Like a flash of golden lightning, he flew into the dark forest in front of him. He did not dare to stop for a moment. Whoosh! Profound qi surged. Gu Xinyan soared into the sky. Her graceful figure drew a seductive arc in the air as she chased after Du Xiaofu. Chase after them. They want to enter the dark forest. Inside the gates of the dark city, a large number of figures soared into the sky. Their profound qi erupted as they chased after them. Woo woo! Awoo! In the air, beasts roared. Many huge flying mounts expanded their bodies in the air. Then they flapped their wings and soared into the sky. However, among the overwhelming number of figures, there were not many who could catch up with the two in front. Undulating mountains and dense forests appeared. From time to time, low roars of beasts could be heard from the depths of the mountains. "Enter the dark forest. Follow me closely," Du Xiaofu lightly shouted. In the night, the rune wings flapped and immediately plunged into the dark forest. Whoosh! Gu Xinyan followed closely. Her speed was not slower than Du Xiaofu's. As Du Xiaofu and Gu Xinyan's figures plunged into the dark forest, an extremely fast demonic beast mount and a dozen figures also entered the dark forest like ghosts. They have indeed entered the dark forest. I'm afraid that they are planning to take advantage of the night to escape. They are a little clever. However, they will still be unable to escape death. Later on, the elders will be happy to help us. Leave the woman alive, but we must obtain the mysterious spirit heavenly vine. Kill the man without mercy. On the back of the flying demonic beast, a black-clothed youth said in a cold and gloomy voice. Killing intent shot out from his eyes. One figure after another plunged into the dark forest and disappeared. Whoosh, whoosh! In the distant horizon, several streams of light, wrapped in light, swept over like rainbows. In a few flashes, they appeared above the dense forest. The light receded, revealing a silver-haired young man standing at the front. His extremely smooth silver hair cascaded down like a waterfall, loosely tied up with a monochromatic ribbon. He had a handsome appearance, and his eyes were as deep as the abyss in the night. Those two have entered the dark forest. Should we make a move now? Behind the silver-haired youth, a man in a gray robe slightly raised his head. Under the gray robe, a long scar on his eyebrows was covered by the hair on his forehead. In the night, his eyes glowed with a gray light, which was particularly strange. Wait until they are together. Kill them all in one fell swoop. The rest has nothing to do with us. The silver-haired youth said, If that woman is there, you must leave her to me." Beside the man in the gray robe, Ghost Claw's figure was among them. His eyes were gloomy. In the dense forest, Du Xiaofu's rune wings folded behind his back. The qi under his feet surged as he activated the wave-like free steps. His figure shuttled back and forth in the dense forest. He asked Gu Xinyan, who was following closely behind him, "Have you felt their presence?" "Not far ahead." Gu Xinyan said, "I think they are waiting for us." "Let's go and meet them first," Du Xiaofu said, but his footsteps were not relaxed at all. "Be careful." Just as his voice fell, Du Xiaofu suddenly shouted to Gu Xinyan behind him. Suddenly he threw a punch forward.